A service of KIBMradio.com, the Internet's home for an all-old-time radio.
Your Coca-Cola bottler presents Claudia. Claudia, based on the original stories by Rose Franken. Brought to you, transcribed, Monday through Friday by your friendly neighbor who bottles Coca-Cola. Relax, and while you're listening, refresh yourself. Have a Coke. And now, Claudia.
David, what time did Roger say he'd be here? I like having company.
About 8:30, maybe a little later.
It's 8:30 now.
Then, a little later.
Oh, I'm dying to meet him. It's funny I haven't, isn't it?
It's just one of those things. He had to be away when we got married.
We've been so busy since. What do I call him, David? Roger or Mr. Killian?
Whichever you want. Roger isn't a very formal person. Darling, are you a little nervous about meeting Roger?
Oh, not really.
Because if you are, you're a goop.
Am I a goop because I want him to think I'm the right wife for you?
He will.
You sound awfully sure. How do you know?
Because I think you are.
Be careful, you'll swell my head.
Well, now that that's settled and I've endorsed you as Mrs. David Norton, throw me those matches over there, would you?
I'll bring them over personally.
Don't bother, just throw them.
Mama said it was impolite to throw things. David.
Yes?
You and Roger are very close, aren't you?
He's really a fine architect, and we work well together for a long time. But it's more than that. I like Roger. You'll like him, too.
Of course I will, David.
He might need a little understanding, but he's worth it. Oh, blast this pipe. It won't draw.
You probably need a new one.
What?
Of course this one must be worn out. You've had it ever since I knew you.
But, Claudia...
I'll buy you a new one first thing tomorrow.
Claudia, listen to me.
Listen to me, David. You think I can't buy a pipe, don't you?
I know you can't.
Huh, you probably thought I couldn't buy a chair either, didn't you?
Did I ever say that?
Well, subconsciously you probably thought that. And I bought a chair, didn't I?
You sure did.
And it's a nice chair, isn't it?
A beautiful chair. You didn't know what you were doing.
I certainly did. It was a bargain. So if I can buy a chair, I see no reason why I can't throw out your old pipe and buy you a new one.
I know you can. That's just what I'm afraid of.
David, you're not making any sense at all.
Now, will you listen to me?
I'm listening.
A pipe and a chair are two entirely different things.
I know you can't smoke a chair. And that's what's the matter with your pipe. You can't smoke it either.
Who says?
You just said it won't draw.
Claudia, a pipe is only good when it's old.
Yours isn't old, it's antique.
Well, all it needs is a little scraping.
I think that's exactly what's the matter with it. You scraped it too much.
Since when have you become an authority on pipes,
Since
Claudia?
I've been watching you work on this one, and I don't see why it should be all so complicated.
Further proof of your ignorance. Choosing a pipe and caring for a pipe is one of the few things left in life that a man can do for himself.
All men or just you, David?
In this particular case, I identify myself with all mankind.
Oh. I'll come along when you buy the new one.
I don't intend to buy a new one, but you can come along when I don't.
What are you rubbing it against your nose for?
For polish.
I've got some wonderful furniture polish in the kitchen cupboard. Want me to get it?
This'll do fine, thank you. The pipe prefers my nose.
That's so silly. David.
Now what?
More matches.
Claudia, what are you looking at me like that for?
I was just thinking.
You better speak up.
Could I have a puff? What's the matter?
I was waiting for this.
Then why didn't you offer it to me?
You'll get sick.
I won't, I promise. I won't.
Roger will be coming. You'll be green.
He won't. My, come on, give me a puff. Don't be selfish.
Well, just a minute.
What a lot of smoke. Now it's my turn.
Now, wait a minute. Wait till I get it going. Here.
Now?
Now, Claudia, take only a little puff.
All right now. Hey, let me hold it.
Well, hold it by the bowl like this.
Oh, it's warm.
Of course it's warm. It's the heat that makes it hot.
Oh.
Now, don't breathe in, darling. Just blow out.
That didn't taste bad, David.
It didn't?
No, not bad. I really don't think it's worth all your trouble of scraping and polishing and lighting and all
Well,
that.
now, you just leave all of that to me.
I'm glad you smoke a pipe, David. It looks awfully nice on your face. How's it look on me?
Not bad. Makes you look like an admiral. Now, give it back to me.
Oh, one more puff now.
You took too big a puff, Claudia.
I did not. I swallowed the wrong way, that's all.
You can't puff and swallow at the same time.
That must be Roger. Shall I go?
Are you all right?
Of course I'm all right. I can smoke a pipe any time, only I don't like it. I'm coming. Hello, Mr. Killian.
Well, hello, my dear. I've been waiting a long time for this.
Let me take your coat.
Thank you.
David's in the living room.
No, he isn't. He's right here. Evening, Roger.
David, old man. I'm sorry, Claudia. I'm afraid I'm a little late.
Not at all. You two go inside and I'll be right in.
Here, have a seat. Over there, Roger.
Just a moment, David. What's that chair doing here?
Do you like it?
Like it? Why, it's perfectly beautiful. It's a Duncan 5.
Claudia just bought it. Turn it over. Tell me what you think of it.
Looks like an original. Oh, by George, it is an original. It has exquisite lines, hasn't it, David?
Yes, but what I think I like best about it is its simplicity.
Simplicity.
Mm-hmm.
That's the secret.
In building, too.
Especially in architecture.
Won't you sit down? You can have the new chair.
Claudia means the old chair, Roger.
You know, David, now that I've met Claudia, I'm twice as upset that I didn't get back to your wedding.
I wish you'd been there, too. You know, I've heard David talk about you so much that I'd have known you right off, even if I just glimpsed you walking down the street.
What a nice thing to say, Claudia. Oh, you're so young. I hardly remember anyone so wonderfully young.
Oh, don't say that.
It's not my age so much. It's my stomach. And these days, what with rising costs, labor trouble, material shortage, I feel continually as if I were coming apart at the edges. I can't help it. It's the way it is.
What are you trying to do, Roger? Win my wife away by strumming on her heartstrings?
Oh, there's no chance of that, I'm afraid.
Will you have a cigarette?
I'm not smoking for a few weeks.
Oh, not even a pipe?
Oh, I never touch a pipe. I used to enjoy a good cigar once in a while, but no more.
Claudia, any matches over there?
What for, dear? Has it gone out again?
Oh, no, I just light matches to amuse myself. I'm a pyromaniac.
A what? Your cat.
Your aim is terrible.
You caught it, didn't you?
Well, don't mind us, Roger.
Claudia, I brought you a little something for your new home.
A present for us?
I think you'll like it.
Oh, I know we will.
Now, where did I... Oh, dear. I must have left it in the pocket of my top coat.
I'll get it for you.
Oh, no. I'll get it.
The closet's right by the front door, Roger.
The light goes on automatically.
I'll find it.
David, he's awfully nice. It makes me feel a little sad. I had no idea his hair would be so white. You never told me.
I've gotten used to it, I guess. I just stopped noticing it.
Claudia.
Be careful when you open it now, Claudia.
Do you know what it is?
No, but knowing Roger, I'm sure it'll be lovely, whatever it is.
I hope you won't be disappointed.
I'm never disappointed. David, look.
That is lovely.
Oh, it's so fragile. I'm afraid I'll break it by just looking at it.
You really like it?
Like it? Why, it's one of the most beautiful things I've ever seen.
I've always been very fond of it. On and off, I've collected Chinese miniature porcelains, and this one is the most perfect I've ever found.
Are you sure you want to give it to us? I mean, if it's part of your collection, why...
Quite sure. You must have it.
I'm going to be so careful of it. David, look at the lovely soft colors.
And it's lasted all these centuries. This is Tang period, isn't it, Roger?
That's exactly what it is. Tang.
Tang? When was that?
About 1,000 years ago.
1,000 years, and it's still so perfect. Roger, where do you think we should put it?
Oh, on the mantel?
Oh, that painting over it's so ugly, it'd be a shame to...
You want to find a place, Claudia, where it'll be safe.
How about on top of the bookshelf?
Not a very good light over there.
That's true. Oh, this apartment is all wrong for it. I know.
I've got it.
Next to the chair.
Of course, next to the chair. Is that where you thought, David?
That's the place.
Here, give it to me. We'll see how it looks. There. How's that?
Splendid, splendid.
Combination of early American and Chinese. Very interesting.
We'll do our whole house like that someday, early American and Chinese.
I'm not so sure I'd like it in large doses.
We won't have large doses. The Chinese will be represented by this little Chinese man. He can stand up for himself perfectly well.
He has, for centuries.
You know it must be a wonderful satisfaction to create something so beautiful. I wonder if the artist who made it dreamed that we'd be looking at it 1,000 years later.
Personally, I think that when he made it, he never gave a thought to the future.
Oh, I don't know about that, David. He must have had at least a desire to be lastingly appreciated.
I wonder. I like to think that the artist created him merely because he delighted in him. Cathedrals, monuments, places, and tombs and things like that, they're built for posterity.
Is that why you want to build them, David?
Partly, I suppose. What about you, Roger?
Me? I've forgotten a little why I wanted to. It's all gotten so complicated. Well, I think I'll be running along now.
Oh, no, not so soon, please. Why, you just came.
I'm tired, my dear, and I have to be up early to go to Redbury on that town hall job.
Would you like me to go instead, Roger?
Oh, I promised I'd be there. I'm having luncheon with the board. Claudia.
Yes?
David's a very lucky man. You keep reminding him of that.
He doesn't have to. Thanks for dropping in, Roger.
I wanted to.
And we're going to take wonderful care of the little porcelain mandarin.
Yes.
Is this your coat?
Yes, thank you. I'll just take it on my arm. It's a warm evening.
And thank you for coming and for bringing the present. And
He belongs with people who appreciate him. And I think he'll be very happy here.
See you when you get back, Roger.
Right.
Goodbye.
Good night, you two.
Good night.
Oh, David, I'm so glad we're us.
I am, too.
He's nice, you know. I like him. He's not at all like I imagined him. He's much sadder.
What did you imagine?
Oh, I don't know. A bigger man. You know, for no good reason, he reminds me a little bit of a seamstress.
I know what you mean.
Push over and make room for me. Sofas are meant for two people.
I'm pushed.
I can hardly believe he has 3 sons.
Grown up, too.
I'd have thought he'd have daughters.
It's a 50-50 chance, you know.
David.
Look
at the porcelain mandarin. Isn't he beautiful next to our chair?
Beautiful. Claudia, can you
David,
reach my pipe over there?
You're not going to start with that pipe all over again, are you?
Are you jealous of my pipe, Mrs. Norton?
Terribly jealous of your pipe, Mr. Norton. It's so late. You know, David, this is really getting to feel like our place. We have 2 nice things.
No.
All our own.
3 nice things.
3?
Mm-hmm.
Let's see. You have the chair.
That's right.
Mandarin.
That's right.
What's the 3rd?
Can't you guess?
Let me see. Nope. Can't guess.
Want me to tell you?
Yep.
You.
Oh, David. We have 4 nice things. And the nicest of all is you.
The story material used in this broadcast of Claudia was under the supervision of Rose Franken and William Brown Maloney. When it comes to party refreshment, whether you go formal with fancy hors d'oeuvres or just have a help-yourself snack spread, don't forget to serve ice-cold Coca-Cola. It's easy to keep Coke on hand now. Chances are your favorite food store can supply you with a carton or even a case whenever you ask him. Every day, Monday through Friday, Claudia comes to you transcribed with the best wishes of your friendly neighbor who bottles Coca-Cola. So listen again tomorrow at the same time. And now, this is Joe King saying au revoir, and remember, whoever you are, whatever you do, wherever you may be, when you think of refreshment, think of Coca-Cola. For ice-cold Coca-Cola makes any pause the pause that refreshes.
Inviting you to listen in on the Nightline. Tonight, live the incredible life of ages yet to come in a time that might be 1,000,000 years from now on X-1. Now, an incredible story of the world beyond.
Countdown for blast off. X-5, 4, 3, 2, X-1, fire.
From the far horizons of the unknown come tales of new dimensions in time and space. These are stories of the future, adventures in which you'll live in 1,000,000 could-be years on 1,000 maybe worlds. The National Broadcasting Company, in cooperation with Galaxy Science Fiction Magazine, presents X-1. Tonight, The Old Die Rich by H.L. Gold. But first, hear this.
Hello, I'm Dorothy Olson, singing schoolteacher on NBC's big weekday musical show, Bandstand. But right now, I'd like to talk to you parents. I'd like to ask you a few questions as you're getting ready to send your youngsters back to school. Are you helping your child get the most out of his school? Do you make his home conditions favorable enough for him to do his homework? Do you show an interest in his schoolwork? Remember, your child's success in school and later on in life depends to a large degree on your attitude towards his schooling today. And there's another important thing. Everyone needs a good send-off in the morning, and that goes for children, too. Be sure your children have a substantial breakfast and a cheery goodbye before they head for school each day. Remember, you can't expect your child to do it all himself. Encourage him in his schooling, both in your attitude and in your actions as he goes back to school this fall.
Now, X-1, and tonight's story, The Old Die Rich.
Doc, what did she die of?
Not eating, Sergeant. Malnutrition.
Oh, look, Doc, in the top bureau drawer, she has bank books showing $32,000 in 5 different banks. She had the price of a meal.
Malnutrition induced by senile psychosis. They starve because they're less afraid of death than of digging into their savings.
I don't know, Doc. Doesn't feel right to me.
Listen, Weldon, just because you can get up on a stage and play the part of some 70-year-old geezer, that doesn't qualify you as an expert on gerontology.
I just don't believe it. It isn't right. I don't feel it.
Well, lucky for me, I don't have to feel these things inside of me because I'm a doctor, not an actor, nor an amateur detective. Sergeant, malnutrition induced by senile psychosis. I'll order the wicker basket from Bellevue. So long, Barrymore.
Well, he's right, Mark. We get a couple of these cases every year. Some old bat starving to death with $17,000 in old bills pinned on his union suit. Turns up all the time.
It doesn't feel right.
Well, Doc knows his business.
But he doesn't know old people. I do. I've gone to a lot of trouble to study their habits. It isn't easy to starve to death. Hunger is a pretty potent instinct.
Yeah, but, Mark, you can't argue with the facts. So where are the 5 bank books? $32,000.
Took good care of them. They look almost new. Let's see. April 23rd, 1907. Deposit of $150. The ink's pretty dark. Shouldn't it be faded?
No, she probably never took it out in the light.
Anyone ever think of testing the ink?
Oh, now, Mark, this is strictly against regulations. I've got to take these books down to the squad room and sign them in.
Pretty dark ink for 1907.
Well, it's about 5 o'clock in the afternoon. I could hold them over tonight, bring them down to the property clerk in the morning.
Good. I know where I can find a chemist.
Mr. Weldon, there's no doubt of it. The ink sample is typical of inks used 50 years ago. The 1970 would be about right. But according to the amount of oxidation, it's fresh enough to be only a few months old.
Well, couldn't that be the result of unusually careful handling?
Yes, Sergeant. Yes, I suppose it could. An airtight compartment, perhaps, sealed with one of the inert gases or a vacuum. But that might account for the lack of normal aging.
Lou, you can't keep inert gases in a top bureau drawer in a fourth-floor walk-up.
Yeah, well, it's probably some simple explanation.
For fresh ink half a century old? Right after that, I got a television part that kept me busy for about a month. And then Lou Pape called me up and asked me to come down to Bellevue.
Mark, is that you?
Hi, Lou. What's up?
An old guy I found wandering around down on Hester Street. He was suffering from malnutrition. He had $17,000 in cash inside the lining of his jacket.
He's alive?
No, not now he isn't. Doc's got him in the room there. But he was stumbling around when the cop on the beat picked him up.
Did he say anything?
Just before he went out completely, he did say something, maybe 3 or 4 times.
What was it?
El Greco.
You mean the artist? Anything else, Lou?
Yeah, it's nothing for me, but we found the old guy's room, and there was an ad thumbtacked over the sink. Nothing unusual.
Yeah?
Here it is.
Men and women wanted. Light work suitable for old people. No references required. Now, why would an old man with $17,000 in cash be answering an ad like that? It was an old brownstone house in the East 80s. I got in line with the rest of the applicants. My face was lined with collodion wrinkles, and I wore an antique, shiny suit and run-down shoes. It was a good makeup job. I looked more authentic than the rest of the old-timers who were waiting for the interview. I finally came up to where a woman was asking the questions.
Name?
Kernet. Louis Kernet. Kernet.
Mm-hmm. Do you have any references? Family?
No, ma'am. I haven't got any family. I had a cousin in Salt Lake City. Haven't seen him in 30 years or more. The ad said you didn't want no references.
That's right. And now, will you wait in the other room?
Yes, ma'am. Do I get the job, ma'am?
Just wait in the other room.
I shuffled into the other room and sat down to wait. I'd planned to be dozing the way an old man would, and so my eyes were closed when I heard the door close. When I opened them, I was looking into the barrel of a .38 revolver.
Are you awake now, Mr. Weldon?
Ma'am? What?
I don't think you need to carry on anymore. If you need any further convincing, you're Mark Weldon, you're about 40 years old, and you played the same character on television about 6 weeks ago. You played it fairly well.
Thank you. Would you mind putting down the gun?
You've been very busy recently trying to find out why senile psychotics starve themselves to death.
You know a great deal more about me than I do about you.
I would be glad to enlighten you. My name is May Roberts. I'm the daughter of the late Dr. Anthony Roberts, the physicist who was dismissed from the Brookhaven Atomic Energy Laboratory 5 years ago.
Oh, I assume you're connected with those starvation cases, or you wouldn't have known that I was investigating them, huh?
Well, that's obvious, isn't it? I'm not afraid of professional detectives, Mr. Weldon. They deal only with facts. But I don't like amateurs. They guess too much. They don't stick to reality. Consequently, they're likely to get too close to the truth.
Unfortunately, Miss Roberts, I'm nowhere near the truth. I haven't the slightest idea how you're tied in with these starvation deaths.
Oh, I intend to show you, Mr. Weldon. I'm happy to announce that you have the job.
Oh, now look.
All right, Mr. Weldon, right ahead of you, please. Through that door. It will take about 5 minutes for the field to build up, Mr. Weldon. Please get in the cathode area.
You mean that wire cage?
Go ahead.
All right.
Now, I wouldn't advise moving now, Mr. Weldon. The wire carries some 10,000 volts.
Well, now look, Miss Roberts.
Mr. Weldon, you are curious, and you could turn out to be a great nuisance to me. As long as you've come this far, we might as well both benefit by it.
Benefit?
Yes. On the floor, you'll find a set of envelopes. There's a set of instructions in each. Follow them carefully.
I don't get it.
You will. Use the envelopes in the order they are arranged.
Look, what's all this about?
Mr. Weldon, I meant it when I said this could be a benefit to both of us. There's no use in my explaining. You'll find out. And don't try to escape. It can't be done. All right, now, the field generators are ready.
Now, look, Miss Roberts, this is absolute...
Just follow instructions, Mr. Weldon.
I blinked. I was standing outside a bank on a sunny day in spring. The cars were square with flat radiators in the front. There was a trolley car passing by. And suddenly I realized that the last trolley car stopped running in Manhattan years ago. I tried to figure it out. It was New York, all right. I recognized some of the buildings. First, I figured it must have been hypnosis. And then I looked at the first of the envelopes in my pocket. I read it and walked into the bank.
Yes, sir? Mr. Golden tells me you wish to open an account.
Yes, that's right.
Mm-hmm. Well, we're very happy to have a new depositor. Very happy indeed. Of course, you realize the institution is in sound condition, very sound. You needn't worry about all those rumors in this bank. No, sir, solid.
That's good.
Now then, name, Mark Weldon.
Mm-hmm.
You have no address in the city at present?
No.
And you're depositing $150.
That's right.
All righty. I'll just check the slip. $150, right? The date, May 15th, of course, 1931.
I went outside the bank and I stood there in the spring sunlight and let the terror soak into me. The impossibility of the entire situation was gnawing at the edges of my mind. And then suddenly, I wasn't there. It was 1934, and I found myself inside a broker's office.
As I understand it, Mr. Weldon, you're buying this stock for Dr. Anthony Roberts.
That's right.
I assume the stock will be in his name.
That's right. I'm just acting as agent. I follow instructions.
Of course. Are you sure I can't convince you that you're making a mistake?
No, these are my instructions.
Mr. Weldon, we are a reputable brokerage house, and I feel quite shaky about putting any client's money into this kind of security. Frankly, I see no future in it. It's a rare metal for which there is very little use for industrial purposes. However, if your client is adamant...
I have my instructions, sir.
Very well, then, in the name of Dr. Anthony Roberts, 100 shares of Montana uranium. Oh, well. Very unwise. Most unwise.
It went that way about 50-50. I'd deposit money in my own name in various banks at various times, and then I'd buy a stock or make a bet for May Roberts. On June 21st, 1932, I bet Jack Sharkey to take the heavyweight title away from Max Schmeling. There was Singing Wood in 1933 at Belmont Park, and Max Bear over Primo Carnera. I went on, skipping through the years like a flat stone over water, touching here and there for a few minutes to an hour at a time. It was in early October 1938, about 5 hours after I had left May Roberts' house, before I realized what she had me doing. I was making deposits and winning sure bets just as those senile psychotics had done. The ink of their bank books was fresh because the entries in them were fresh. The ink wasn't given a chance to oxidize. At the rate I was going, I'd be back at my own time in a few hours with $15,000 compound interest in cash
to say nothing of those bets. But those old people had died of starvation in spite of all that cash. Well, I was hungry, so I got myself a hamburger and went out the door. When I hit the sidewalk, it happened again.
Don't touch the cage yet, Mr. Weldon. I'll have to clear the charge.
Hey, what happened to my hamburger?
What?
The hamburger. I had it here. It's gone. I'm hungry.
I'll get you something to eat, Mr. Weldon, before your next trip. You've done pretty well for yourself, haven't you?
Yes, I have. About 15,000.
You can come out now. But be careful. Don't touch the contact. The field reacts on a random factor for at least an hour after it's cut off.
Hey, I had ketchup in my sleeve. It's gone.
Mr. Weldon, I want to talk seriously with you. You've seen now part of what I'm doing.
Part?
I've been able to save things that would have been lost otherwise. I've sent people back to find precious treasures that would have been destroyed or would have disappeared.
Like an El Greco painting?
Yes. And the original score of Mozart's Magic Flute that would have been burned in 1942. And the Picasso miniature that would have been lost at sea in 52. I have them all here.
Stolen?
No. Bought with money from the year itself at a fair price. Well, Mr. Weldon, I sent you back because I've needed someone to work with me on a regular basis. Someone who's faster and more alert than the old people I've hired up until now. I assume you're interested. And that we can make our plans without my using this revolver?
Well, this one is a little hard to work out. You see, I got interested in this business because they found some old people dead of malnutrition and $30,000 or so tucked away in their pockets. They'd been gone a month or more. They had to eat during that time, didn't they? And when they came back, the food disappeared like my hamburger. It disappeared all at once. In one fast jolt, they starved to death.
No. You don't understand. They just couldn't take the field transition.
Oh, no, you can't tell me that because I know how hungry I am, and I was only gone about 12 hours. They were murdered.
Get back.
You know, they say a hungry man gets pretty desperate. He'll do almost anything. Let go. Let go. Let go. Let go. Look out. Look out, the cage, the contact. She fell into that cage and disappeared before she hit the ground. I didn't know what happened. I know she said the field worked in a random action, whatever that meant. Lou didn't believe the story I told him.
You mean there won't be any more of them? No more senile psychotics starving to death with a bankroll in their hip pocket?
No more, Lou. I was wrong. There was one more case, and perhaps it was the strangest one. A woman was found wandering in Bryant Park just before she died of acute starvation. The strange thing was, she was young, not more than 30. And the other was that she had $17,000 stuffed in her pocketbook, and a bullet wound in her arm that the medical examiner said was at least 2 months old. I guess that's what she meant by random action.
Fred Collins speaking, and I'll have another word about X-1 in a moment. As a child, Louise had been a lonely orphan until the Harvey family came along and took her into their home and into their hearts. As Louise herself says, they gave me everything, including the love I longed for. They fed me and clothed me as if I were one of their own. And I repaid them with treachery and heartache. You'll wonder if Louise will be able to repair the damage she's done to a group of splendid people as you listen tomorrow to My True Story. My True Story, with a complete drama every morning about people and their problems, is one of radio's most popular morning programs. You'll hear My True Story every weekday just before NBC Bandstand. So remember, My True Story for drama and NBC Bandstand for music and light-hearted entertainment. Together they make a wonderfully varied morning's listening every weekday on most of these NBC stations. You have just heard X-1, presented by the National Broadcasting Company in cooperation with Galaxy Science Fiction Magazine, which this month features Share Alike by Daniel F. Galluyer. When the experts discovered a way to enable two objects to occupy the same space at the same time, they thought they'd solved the housing problem. But on the other hand, they created an exasperating new one. Read it in Galaxy Magazine on your newsstand today. Tonight, X-1 has brought you The Old Die Rich, a story written by H.L. Gold and adapted for radio by Ernest Kenoy. Featured in our cast were Ralph Camargo as Mark Weldon, Patricia Wheel as May Roberts, Bill Zuckert as Sergeant Pape, and others in our cast were Harvey Hayes, Roger DeKoven, and Guy Rett. This is Fred Collins speaking. X-1 was directed by George Voutsas and is an NBC Radio Network production.
You'll be on the right line for exciting nighttime entertainment when you hear Nightline. Tonight, over most of these NBC stations.
This is Nightline, your open door to people and places, and this is Walter O'Keefe. Nightline invites you to listen in on NBC's award-winning science fiction series, X-1. Now escape to a world of the future.
Countdown for blast off. X-5, 4, 3, 2, X-1, fire.
From the far horizons of the unknown come tales of new dimensions in time and space. These are stories of the future, adventures in which you'll live in a million, could be years, on 1,000 maybe worlds. The National Broadcasting Company, in cooperation with Galaxy Science Fiction Magazine, presents X-1.
Tonight, Tsylana by James E. Gunn. But first, hear this. Now, X-1. Our story, Tsylana by James E. Gunn.
My name is Norman Blake, statistician first class. At 2:30 p.m. on Monday, October 21st, in the year 2055, I became a deviant. I left my job an hour early. To deviate from the norm was unheard of in a perfectly adjusted society such as ours. Thanks to the great psychologist Kinder, we had a society where everybody's job suited his talents and needs, where children were raised scientifically, and where everyone lived happily on an even keel instead of swinging back and forth from gloom to ecstasy. Then I noticed it, the single flaw in the perfect system.
Come in. Yes, Norm.
Henry, I'd like to talk to you for a moment, privately.
Close the door. It's rather unusual for me to see one of my statisticians privately, but since we're old friends...
Something rather serious has come up.
Oh?
As you know, my duty is to check the computers to make certain there are no deviations.
Yes?
This morning, I ran over the figures for our district. Here is the sheet. The deviation is near the bottom.
1,037 gallons of water purified, 1,037 gallons consumed, 9,328 births, 9,328 deaths. I see nothing wrong so far. No.
Read the next item.
1 candy bar taken from baby. Well?
Don't you see? A baby can't consent. Therefore, it must have been taken without consent. Henry, that is theft. We haven't had a case of theft in this society for almost 29 years.
I see.
It's got me so upset I can't think of anything else.
You're a little edgy, aren't you?
Well, wouldn't you be if you knew there was an antisocial being walking the streets of your own city?
I don't think I'd quite go to pieces like that. Maybe, well, this is just a suggestion. Maybe you ought to see an analyst. Perhaps it would help you deal with this problem.
I've been analyzed.
How long ago?
8 years.
Well, unless you're prepared to handle this problem, I'd advise you to get some help. Meanwhile, take the rest of the afternoon off.
Off? Deviate from the schedule?
As director, and as an old friend of yours, I order it. I consider you to be in extreme upset.
That's your order?
That's my order.
I must confess that as I went toward the elevator, a line kept running through my head. Norm has departed from the norm. I was doing something unorthodox, and what frightened me was that it amused me. Here I was, leaving work 1 hour early. I was so preoccupied that I stepped into the elevator without noticing that someone was already in it. An invasion of privacy almost unforgivable. He was a small, strange-looking man with short silver hair and thick, round glasses. Oops, I beg your pardon. I didn't really know you were...
Perfectly all right, stranger.
I'll just step out and...
Hold it, brother. You've got troubles, I can see.
Well,
My advice to you is see an analyst. Don't wait another 24 hours.
Thank you for the advice.
That's more than advice, brother. It's a commercial. Here's my card. Andrew C. Rednick, public analyst.
Oh, you're an analyst.
Freelance.
I didn't know there were any.
I'm probably one of the few still practicing. My slogan is, don't kid with your id. If life ain't dandy, come see Andy.
I may be up to see you.
You will, I can tell.
I put on my public face, the mask we wear on the street, and rode home in the proper manner, my arms and hands folded. When I got home, my wife, Nada, was in her room. I signaled on the intercom in case she was, entertaining. She wasn't. She never did. Sometimes I wondered if Nada was quite normal and well-adjusted. Hello, darling.
Is something wrong? Why are you home so early?
I just uncovered a crime wave.
A what?
A crime wave. A theft. Candy. From a baby.
Is that serious?
It threatens the entire structure of our society. We have a delicately balanced mechanism here. We're not ready for crime. Oh, we don't even know how to catch a criminal.
Isn't there an old saying, it takes a thief to catch a thief?
It takes a... Darling, that's it. That's the answer to our problem.
What is?
In order to protect society, I've got to catch the thief. And the only way to do it, obviously, is to become one myself.
You're listening to Tsylana, tonight's attraction on X-1. Now, back to X-1 and Tsylana.
The address on the card was a deserted skyscraper, a pre-analytic building. The elevators were out of order, and I had to climb 29 flights of stairs. Finally, I was in front of a door that read, Andrew C. Rednick, public analyst. Grin and come in. Mr. Rednick?
It ain't Santa Claus, brother.
Who?
You wouldn't remember. Park your ego. Now, boy, what's your problem?
I've got to do something, and it isn't in my psychological profile.
That's the trouble with this society. Nobody's capable of handy unexpected.
Are you saying there's an advantage to being unadjusted?
Don't second-guess the analyst, boy. If you mean by advantage, will you be happier? No. But if you mean power, then you've got it. In a country of normal people, the neurotic man is king. You want to be king, boy?
Of course not. I'm perfectly happy and well-adjusted except for one little problem.
Namely?
I've got to catch a thief.
So?
So I've got to know how a thief thinks and feels, what he does, where he goes.
You mean you want to become neurotic?
Exactly.
This is a rather unorthodox request.
I suppose it is.
I could lose my license if anyone found out.
If you don't do it, it could mean the end of society and civilization.
As bad as that, eh? Very well.
Start at once?
Why not? Sit at my desk while I lie down on the couch and tell you about my childhood.
You lie down? I'm the one that's supposed to lie down.
You forget this is reverse analysis. I'm supposed to make you neurotic, frustrated. Now then, the first thing I remember was an argument between my father and mother.
You were living with your own father and mother? Ooh, how unhygienic. What a nasty situation.
You aren't very good at this sort of thing, are you, boy? You're supposed to listen, not comment. Now then, when I was 27, I perfected analysis and revolutionized society.
What are you talking about? Kinder perfected analysis and revolutionized society. He died.
Don't second-guess the analyst.
You know, I'm beginning to dislike you already.
Fine. We're making progress already. You're beginning to experience dislike. Next, we'll achieve hatred, and then loathing. In 3 weeks, you'll be well on the road to becoming a crook.
Every day for the next week, Rednick lay comfortably on his red leather couch, rambling about his childhood and his problems, while I longed to tell him about my own. I grew more and more repressed, and my disposition became worse and worse. On the 8th day, something happened at the office that made me realize I had to hurry.
Come in.
Henry, it's happened.
What?
The thief has struck again, but this time it's even more serious.
What did he take?
$1 million is missing from the First District Bank.
Great Scott.
We've got to find this thief, Henry. We're doomed if we don't.
Well, maybe he's worked out his repressions. After all, what can a man steal after he's stolen $1 million?
I don't know, but I intend to find out.
Maybe you ought to drop it, Norm.
How can you say a thing like that? It's positively antisocial.
Calm down now. You're all upset again. Why don't you take the day off and go home? Spend some time with that lovely wife of yours. She misses you.
How do you know?
Norm, boy, do I detect a note of jealousy? You'd better watch your step. Jealousy is the forerunner of violence. Are you seeing an analyst, as I suggested?
Yes, I am.
Well, keep at it, boy. You're in bad shape.
I kept at it. By the time the annual status examinations were due, I was a complete wreck. I hated Andrew Rednick with a passion. I was ambitious and jealous. I had even sunk to that basest of all passions. I had fallen in love with my own wife. And still I had not been able to ferret out the thief. He had not struck again.
Ah, you're early, son.
So I'm early.
You'll have to wait. I have another patient.
What?
You'll have to wait. I have another patient in the other room. He'll be leaving in a minute. Just sit down.
Another patient. I could have killed him. Never occurred to me that Andrew C. Rednick would have another patient. After a few moments, a man emerged from the inner office. He was wearing a silver mask or public face, and naturally I couldn't see his features. As I had my own mask on, he didn't see my features either, but I sensed a certain hostility as he brushed by me.
Come in, son.
Who is he?
Take it easy. We don't reveal the names or identities of patients.
I hate him.
You're jealous.
Jealous? As a matter of fact, I've been thinking of quitting the analysis.
Good. This is your last session anyway.
My last session? But it can't be. The annual examinations are coming up tomorrow. I am not ready. I'll be demoted to a menial job.
I doubt it.
I told you I'm not ready. What can I do?
Have you ever thought of cheating?
On the examination? That's horrible. Only a monster could suggest such a thing. What kind of man are you?
Who are you, Rednick?
Let me close the door. Now, look through the glass at my sign. You can read it backwards with the door closed.
Andrew Rednick. Rednick backwards.
Kinder? You? Oh, it's impossible. He's the founder of our whole society. Besides, he's dead. He died in an accident.
All staged. I just decided to duck out.
Why?
Because, my friend, I found I had created a Frankenstein, a perfect society. It was like paradise, a Garden of Eden. The same silly people, happy, not wanting anything, not going anyplace, and not changing. So I decided to create a little sin, and thereby give the creatures change, growth, misery, ecstasy, and free will. In a sense, I made them creative. Well, son, au revoir.
But am I really finished?
You're just beginning. Your frustrations are like rabbits, boy. They just keep breeding. I'm the one who's finished.
He clapped his hat on his head and walked out, leaving me alone in his office. When I walked over to his desk, I found a gun lying on top of it. I put it in my pocket and returned to my office. The next 5 hours were spent in statistically predicting the questions I would be asked on the annual examination and in finding out the answers in advance. Then I went home.
Darling, how did it go?
Nada, take a good look at your husband. See anything different?
Well, I've been noticing a change for the past few weeks.
You're going to notice a much bigger change, sweetheart. Tomorrow, the new appointments will be made based on the results of the annual examination.
Did you do well?
Did I do well? Read this card.
The enclosed card has a magnetic reproduction of your new psychological profile. It indicates you are in the 99th percentile of leadership with the second highest altruism rating ever scored. Therefore, a new position has been created for you. Beginning tomorrow, you will be deputy mayor of the district. Deputy, darling, it's wonderful.
Yes, I dare say it is. Only one thing troubles me.
What's that?
I can't understand how anybody scored higher than I did. I'd counted on becoming mayor. The following day, I reported to the office of the new mayor of our district, the only person who had scored higher than I on the annual examination. I was ushered in promptly. The new mayor was seated behind a huge desk. He wore his public face mask. Mr. Mayor, I'm Norman Blake, the new deputy.
Yes, we've met, you know.
Oh, I'm afraid I
Let
don't...
me remove my public face. There.
Henry Foreman.
I'm amazed you didn't guess sooner.
How?
Quite simple. You and I, dear fellow, have unstable patterns. With me, the first break came the day I took that bar of candy from the baby as I was passing the nursery. My own act frightened me so that I sought an analyst. The same analyst you sought.
Rednick?
Rednick, Kinder, it's all the same.
And you were the thief and I never...
It takes one to know one, Norm.
You cheated on the exam, too.
Using the computer, just as you did.
Are there any others like us?
I don't know. We'll find out, though. We're ambitious, you and I. That means we'll be moving up, heading for the governorship, perhaps even the presidency. And then we'll collide with the others, if there are any. As Rednick said, in a world of normal people, the neurotic is king.
The only trouble with that is there can only be one king.
That's right. And only one mayor.
The look he gave me then sent chills up and down my spine. In spite of my high position, I haven't had a moment's peace or relaxation since. Neither, I suspect, has Henry Foreman. There were imbalances in our world which had to lead to the destruction of one or all of us, and we knew it. There was one saying that Rednick Kinder had forgotten to tack up on his wall. Uneasy lies the head that wears the crown.
Fred Collins again, and I'll have another word for you about X-1 in a moment. The attention of the nation is focused on Los Angeles and New York, the cities where two long-awaited World Championship boxing matches will take place. The ears of the nation will be tuned to Cavalcade of Sports on NBC Radio, the only network that will bring you both these championship bouts. Friday night, Archie Moore versus Tony Anthony for the light heavyweight crown. Monday night, Sugar Ray Robinson versus Carmen Basilio for the world's middleweight title. And you'll hear them both direct from ringside only on Cavalcade of Sports on NBC Radio. Yes, Friday night, light heavyweight champ Archie Moore pits his skill and experience against the youth and stamina of Tony Anthony. Monday night, Sugar Ray Robinson, one of the greatest boxers in history, defends his middleweight crown against Carmen Basilio. Two great championship fights, Friday night, Moore versus Anthony, Monday night, Robinson versus Basilio. Both brought to you direct from ringside on Cavalcade of Sports, exclusively on these same NBC radio stations. You have just heard X-1, presented by the National Broadcasting Company in cooperation with Galaxy Science Fiction Magazine, which this month features Morning After by Robert Sheckley. What was Pearson doing here? Would he live or die? For the answers to these and other questions, he had to keep tuning in on a hangover. Galaxy Magazine, on your newsstand today. X-1 has brought you Tsylana, a story from the pages of Galaxy written by James E. Gunn and adapted for radio by George Lefferts. Featured in our cast were Walter Black as Norman Blake, David Ross as Andrew C. Rednig, Adele Ronson as Nada, and Guy Repp as Foreman. This is Fred Collins speaking. X-1 was directed by George Voutsas and is an NBC Radio Network production.
There's excitement in the air at night, and Nightline brings it to you. Hear Nightline with Walter O'Keefe, next on most of these NBC stations.
"300 miles from the magic island of Euclidia. 300 miles between the Gregory party and the weird colony of scientists who have held them captive for so long. With Joan Gregory at the controls of the stolen Euclidean submarine, putting another 40 miles behind them every hour, it looks as if Jerry and Joan, Mrs. Gregory, and Tex Bradford have really escaped from the island. They are not to be allowed to get away without some opposition, however, as the Euclideans have been sending out directional radio beams in an attempt to locate the missing submarine. All is quiet inside the sub now, and only Jerry and Joan are to be seen in the central control section.
Are you sure we won't disturb your mother and Tex if we talk up here?
There is no danger of that, Jerry.
But you can hear our voices all over this thing.
Yes, if I had not closed the stern section off.
Closed it off? Well, I can still see Tex and Mrs. Gregory asleep back there on the bunk.
To be sure you can. There is no necessity of losing visibility merely to restrict sound.
Yeah, I know. Everything's so easy for you to do. That's another one of those soundproof doors, I suppose.
To be sure. One of the transparent steel doors. Mother and the captain may rest there in perfect comfort and silence while we continue our discussion.
What discussion?
We were speaking of plans for our amusement in Los Angeles.
Oh, it'll be easy enough to find plenty to amuse you with when we get there. But I'd like to know a little more about our plans for the rest of this ocean.
The rest of this ocean, as you refer to the balance of our cruise, should prove comparatively uneventful.
Yeah, I can see that. Nothing's liable to happen to us except old G47 and his Euclideans. And when they happen to you, it's not so funny.
If there is any method by which the Euclidean scientists are able to interfere with our journey, that method is not apparent to me at this time.
But this was too easy. You can't steal a submarine and get away with it anywhere in the world, least of all from these guys on that island.
The success of our plan depends on the element of surprise.
I guess they were surprised, all right.
Indubitably.
Huh?
Indubitably.
Oh, okay. But I'll bet they were surprised, too.
You may continue to misunderstand me, but we are obviously safe from Euclidean pursuit.
I'm not so sure. How far are we from the magic island?
306 miles.
And you think we're safe from those scientists?
That is my belief.
What about their 500-mile-an-hour airplanes and their 1,000-mile-an-hour rocket ships?
We are in 8 fathoms of water, Jerry.
Can't they locate us easy enough with their directional radio stuff?
Not from Euclidia. Not so long as we do not attempt to use the radio set.
Well, we won't do that. We got one message from Johnson, and we know he's waiting for us in Los Angeles. That's enough for us.
It will be quite simple for a Euclidean plane to locate us in the water at this depth.
What did I just get through telling you?
But they have no weapon which will prove effective.
Couldn't a Euclidean plane attack one of our subs in this much water?
To be sure. But these underwater craft are insulated against all Euclidean weapons, to my knowledge.
Yeah, that's right. They would be, or your boats would be shooting up each other, practicing.
Exactly.
Well, I'll bet they could cause us plenty of trouble, though.
That they could easily do. And they could compel us to submerge to such a depth that our progress would be restricted to the vanishing point.
Well, what more do you want?
What more do I want?
I mean, what more harm do they have to do to us? If they can dive this thing down to the ocean floor and make us stay there until our provisions and fuel are gone, all they've got to do is wait until we have to come up to the surface for help and grab us.
That would be sound reasoning if Euclidean submarines were not superior to your worldly ones.
I know that you've got the best boats in the world, but no matter how much you know about science, you've got to eat and sleep just the same as anybody else. And we can't live on the water forever.
Our oxygen supply is continuously refreshed from the water.
I'm talking about food. We're going to have to keep eating.
We have sufficient compressed food to last a month with care. And during that time, we could reach Los Angeles if we were compelled to progress at an almost negligible rate along the ocean floor.
And they can't reach us with anything if we go deep enough?
No one can reach us at our maximum depth.
And just how deep can we go until they keep this thing moving along a little bit?
We may operate at a speed of 4 knots at a depth of 1 1/2 nautical miles, 9,120 feet.
Golly whiskers. Won't the sides of the sub cave in from the water pressure when we get down that deep?
There is no natural water pressure on this globe sufficient to injure this submarine.
Well, if you say so, I'll have to believe it. And it looks like we're going to get home all right.
I'm sure of that, Jerry. We will arrive safely in California with the captain's formula remaining a secret from the Euclideans.
And what Tex will do to them with that formula will be plenty.
Do you know how he proposes to use it?
Well, I'm not any too sure, but I think...
One moment, Jerry. I must refuel.
Oh, give the sub one of those little pills, huh?
Yes. It will take but a few seconds to inject the fuel pellet and clear the combustion tank. You may continue your remarks, Jerry.
Huh?
Jerry, you may continue.
Continue? What?
The discussion of the captain's formula and its use.
Oh, yeah. Oh, I was watching that refueling thing, and I guess I forgot what we were talking about.
You were going to attempt to explain how the formula for the universal solvent may be used in capturing the island of Euclidia.
No, I wasn't.
But you said
I said I wasn't any too sure how Tex intended to use it, and I'm not. Maybe he can explain it to you.
I will ask him.
Well, don't wake him up to do that.
That will not be necessary. The captain is awake.
Huh? Oh, yeah. It looks like your mother's awake, too.
Those thin metal sleeping compartments are perhaps not too comfortable for them.
I'll take a chance on going to sleep on one of them.
You will be given the opportunity the moment Mother and the captain come forward to relieve us.
You mean you're going to let Tex and Mrs. Gregory run this thing while you and I sleep?
Certainly.
But, do they know how?
I can give them all the necessary instructions in 10 seconds.
Well, I guess I can spare that much time. But I can sure use a little sleep before long.
Mother and the captain are now approaching.
I'll bet Tex bumps his head in that transparent steel door. I know it.
I will remove the transparent section panel.
Okay, Tex. You can come up here now.
What was that I bumped my head on?
A transparent steel panel. You will find no further obstructions to your passage.
It's a strange sensation to watch a man stopped by a steel wall that you can't even see.
Yeah, stranger than that when you're the fellow who gets stopped.
Joan put that section across the stern sleeping quarters so our talking wouldn't wake you up.
And we did sleep. At least I did.
Yeah, I did too, but I sort of feel a little like I've been sleeping on a rock pile.
Those flexible steel mattresses are a little strange to us.
Those will be found on all Euclidean craft.
So there won't be anything to burn if a fire tries to start,
Precisely.
Huh?
Well, kids, I feel a little guilty about letting you two stand watch while Pat and I slept, but if you think you can trust us to run this thing, we'll take it over.
Will that be all right, Joan?
Captain Bradford can do everything I could possibly do.
Joan can set all the automatic controls for you, and this sub navigates itself.
Would it make any difference if you opened those visibility slides for us, Joan?
None whatever.
Well, I think I'd like to have them open. Even if we can't do anything about it, I'd like to see where we're going.
It's nice and quiet riding along with them closed, though.
Yeah, I know, Jerry, but I know how Mrs. Gregory feels, too. And I'm inclined to agree with her.
A little good old sound will be a tonic for both of us. Yeah, it is a little too quiet for me here, but Joan likes it this way.
I will open the slide for you, Captain. I have just refueled, and you may repeat every 40 knots.
I understand, Joan.
Tex and I will stand a 4-hour watch.
We'll stand it as long as it takes you two to get some rest. You must be all in. Oh, I'm not tired, but I guess I could sleep a little.
We will rest 4 hours. At that time, we may expect the Euclidean location beam again.
Could we try the radio?
No, it is too dangerous.
But you said the Euclideans had nothing they could harm us with in this sub.
That is true. However, if they learn of our exact location, it will be a simple matter for them to follow our progress to Los Angeles. And there are many ways in which they might plan a most unpleasant reception for us.
Yes, you're right, Joan. I think our best chance is to get into port without being located, if that's possible. Well, come on, Joan. Let's go back and collect some shut-eye.
Collect what?
We'll take 40 winks. Hit the hay. Pile in the feathers. Go on the downy. Don't you understand any of those?
I do not.
Well, I mean, let's go back and lie down and sleep.
Then you should say what you mean. You are now the one who is using large words where small ones would serve much better.
Well, never mind about that. I'll argue with you after I get some sleep. How do you shut this door?
I will close the door.
Those kids sure spend a lot of their time quarreling.
Yes, but it seems to be excellent for their morale. They also spend a lot of time getting things done.
They sure do. The nerve of Joan stealing this submarine.
I'm very proud of her, Tex.
You should be. When Joan learns our ways, she will be the most accomplished girl of her age in the country.
Do you think we'll reach home in safety?
We've got a long way to go. If Joan and Jerry can keep their heads up, we should be able to.
Joan forgot to open that slide for us. I'd like to see out into the water, Tex, and see where we're going.
Well, I know how to do that. I watched Joan close the slide. It's this one.
Oh, I like that ever so much better.
I'm not sure I do. We're a long way down the water, Pat.
But this submarine is so safe. And what a wonderful machine it is. Think of being able to look through a wall of transparent steel.
Yes, and a wall that will stand water pressure at a depth of 1.5 miles. I'd say we were pretty safe, Pat.
Well, at least we're not under G47's eyes, and he can't hear every word we say.
We can hear you, though.
Tex, was that Jerry?
Yes, but that stern section is soundproof.
Nevertheless, we can hear all you say.
How are they doing that?
Sounds like a speaker of some kind.
Nice work, Tex. This is a communication system. We're hearing you through the little microphone right in front of you.
Will you two stop playing and get some rest? Your 4 hours will pass soon enough.
You are correct, Mother. We will cut off the voice channel.
Those kids sure managed to keep their spirits up.
They're a good deal younger than we are, Tex.
Well, I'm sure Jerry's a lot younger than I am, but you and Joan could pass for sisters.
Now, Tex, I've a fair idea of my appearance, and I know it isn't particularly flattering.
Your appearance is always exactly to my liking.
Oh, you're a sweet person, Tex. You spent many a year helping me search for Joan.
It's been more than worth it. Now we've found her.
Yes. She's mine at last. After 14 years, I'm actually taking her home, Tex. Home. Oh, it will be a home now, for the first time in those 14 long years.
Wait a minute, Pat. I heard something. Something strange.
Yes. And I thought I felt the submarine quiver.
We must have passed over a high reef.
No, the water's clear all around us. There isn't an obstruction in sight in any direction.
Well, I know something happened.
Oh, Tex, it's getting nearer.
And it didn't sound good to me.
Dive, Captain Bradford. Those are Euclidean magnetic bombs. Dive at once.
Well, how do I do it?
Oh, Tex.
Quiet, Mother. That large lever between your knees, Captain. Pull it to you. Pull it quickly. We are being attacked from the air. Pull that lever.
The magic island of Euclidia is a weird place to discover, a difficult place to escape from, and now it seems that it's going to prove an even harder job to stay away from it. Jerry and Joan, Mrs. Gregory, and Captain Bradford stole one of the Euclidean submarines, and with Joan at the control, they raced away from the island in safety. Now they are nearly 400 miles from Euclidia, and that should be a safe enough distance from anywhere. But things move fast with G47 and his scientists. We find Captain Bradford at the controls in the central section of the submarine with Mrs. Gregory at his side. A strange sound had just reached their ears. The submarine hesitates, then is tossed about as if a heavy shell had exploded near it. And from the stern section, Joan screams at the captain to dive. The submarine is being attacked.
With
diving techs. You must have moved the right lever.
Looks like it, but we don't seem to be going down very fast.
Jerry and Joan are rushing up here from the stern, and Joan will know what to do.
I pulled this thing just as she told me.
You're doing everything that can be done, Captain Bradford.
But we're not diving very fast.
I thought you said this thing could dive like a fish.
Under proper conditions, these submarines will dive rapidly.
Well, what's the matter, Joan? What's happening?
Euclidean magnetic bombs.
Magnetic bombs? What are they?
I will explain later. We must reach a greater depth at once.
I did everything you told me to, Joan, but we're sure going down mighty slowly.
Our danger is also increasing. Those magnetic bombs are finding our range. Let me have the controls, Captain.
Go to it, Joan.
Can I help?
Yes, remain out of my way.
Okay.
I will use the emergency jet. All of you must hold firmly to the arms of your steel chairs. The vibration may be sufficient to break the ship in half, but we must try it. Hold your stations.
Really diving.
The speed must be terrific.
Feels almost like a power dive in a plane.
I think we will gain our freedom now. This rate of descent will rapidly put us beyond reach of the magnetic bombs.
I could get seasick awfully easy.
Oh, I don't blame you, Jerry.
I guess we can stand it if Joan can.
We are nearly free from the effect of the bombs. In a few seconds, I will be able to reduce the speed.
Are we all right now?
I think there is no further danger from those magnetic depth charges. However, I will continue our descent more gradually until we reach a depth of 3,000 feet.
We've got to go down over half a mile to be sure of losing those attackers?
Yes, Captain.
They were not in a submarine, were they?
No, Mother. A Euclidean plane flying over it.
And they dropped those bombs from a plane?
Precisely.
But the explosions didn't do us any damage, except to rock the boat around a little. Why go so deep?
Those are magnetic bombs, and their action is purely magnetic. Had we remained longer at that depth, the pull of those released charges would have paralyzed this submarine completely. And naturally, that would have placed us at the absolute mercy of anyone who wanted to reach us.
But, Joan, I don't understand that at all. How could a bomb exploding in the water generate enough magnetic force to harm a 100-foot submarine?
Those bombs contain a charge of chemical which, when mixed with salt water, produces a magnetic field in the water, a field with a large radius. And the power is sufficient to render every instrument, every control on this boat useless for a considerable period of time.
Boy, that's a new one.
It certainly is, Jerry. I can imagine how it might work. But one thing that isn't clear to me, Joan. Any solution released in a body of water as large as the ocean will become diluted to the point of uselessness almost at once.
That is true, Captain, but paralyzed instruments, magnetized controls, and helpless submarines do not return to normal in an instant.
I can't think of a more terrible threat, a worse danger than a submarine without instruments, power, or controls.
Well, if they were going to capture us, well, they'd have to hang around the air dropping bombs until we got ready to surrender.
That wouldn't give these Euclideans much trouble, would it, Joan?
Not when you remember that a Euclidean plane could easily afford to cruise 100 hours over our position and still have sufficient fuel to return to Euclidia from our present position.
I'm sure it wouldn't take 100 hours or half that long for me to be ready to give up. Drifting along in 8 fathoms of water, helpless. Oh, no, Joan. I'd be ready to meet their terms long before the 100 hours was up.
Yeah. That wouldn't be so good. And if that magnetism really got hold of us, we couldn't do anything, huh, Joan?
Not a thing. The oxygen jets would be paralyzed and our air supply soon exhausted. The emergency escape locks would not operate, and we could not leave the ship. There would be only one thing to do.
Yes, I know what that would be. Surrender. I don't see how we could even do that. If we can't leave the sub or get a message out of here, how could we let our captain know we were ready to give up? How could we get to the surface to surrender?
There is one thing on board not affected by magnetism, our compressed air supply. Our only resort would be to fill the space between the inner and outer shells of the submarine with compressed air and float to the surface as the water was driven out of the stabilizing channels. Even then, we could not leave of our own will. It would be necessary for our captors to release us from without.
And now, Joan, will we be able to proceed toward home at a lower level?
To be sure, Mother. Though our progress will be comparatively slow.
Just how slow do you call comparatively?
At a depth of 3,000 feet, the highest speed we may maintain consistently will be 11 knots.
11 knots? At a depth of over half a mile?
I do not hope to exceed that.
I shouldn't think you would. Golly, whiskers. 11 knots under half a mile of water? Well, our submarines think they're doing all right if they make 11 knots any time.
I am confident we may plan on continuing at that speed.
That's very wonderful, Joan, and certainly surpasses anything we'd ever dreamed of at home. But at that speed, will we be able to reach Los Angeles on our present supply of food and fuel?
I was wondering about that.
We will have more than enough fuel and food enough for a much longer time.
Well, say, now that we're talking about food, and it looks like we might get a chance to eat a little without being shot at, how about having our dinner?
Are you hungry, Jerry?
Well, if I'm not, I'm sure mixed up in my feelings.
We should not need more food at this time.
Well, what's the matter? You're afraid these Euclidean pills will make us too fat?
We had sufficient food for a definite number of hours. It is not time for the next meal.
Never mind what the clock says. My stomach is a lot more apt to be right about my being hungry.
Yes, I'm going to add my voice to yours, Jerry. I could stand something to eat.
Well, if everyone else feels that way, I'll admit a huge appetite.
Looks like you'll just have to sit around and watch the rest of us eat, Joan.
I shall do nothing of the sort. You will open a vial labeled S4, Jerry.
S4? What's the S for?
Oh, Jerry, what a horrible pun.
Didn't you like it?
It was pretty bad, son.
A more completely descriptive adjective would be atrocious.
Okay, if you don't like my puns, I'll eat all 4 of the pills and none of you will get any fried chicken.
Do you remember where you got the last meal, Jerry?
Oh, yeah, right out of here. It sounds funny when you call a little bottle of 4 pills a meal.
They seem to satisfy us before, though, Jerry.
Jerry knows the food is satisfactory. He is merely exercising his talent for discussion.
I believe you've got his number, Joan.
Number? What is your number, Jerry?
Oh, never mind. Well, here's a little bottle labeled S4.
I'd like to ask what that label means, but I don't want to run into any plans, as Jerry did.
The letter S designates sunset, or time for the evening meal. And the figure 4 in Arabic numerals states the quantity. 4 people may be served from that vial.
S for sunset. What was the Z for on the bottle we had at lunch?
Z for zenith, as Euclideans take their noon repast when the sun is at meridian height. Roughly 12 noon.
And what will our breakfast be labeled?
The morning meal is designated as D for daylight, and the number of people following. Our breakfast will therefore be D4.
Huh. D4 for breakfast, Z4 for lunch, and S4 for dinner.
Does sound funny, Jerry, but I like what I had at lunch. Suppose you pass the steak.
How will you have your steak, Mrs. Gregory?
Just medium, Jerry. Not too well done.
Okay, 1 medium steak. You get pill number 1. What was yours, Joan? Steak, chop, macaroni?
I will have one of the pellets, Mr. Hall.
Mr. Hall?
You appear to be a gentleman of note, Jerry.
I don't think she meant it that way. But here's your bacon and eggs, Captain. I think I'll have some pancakes and honey for mine.
I shall now restrict the angle of our dive to 5 degrees. That will enable us to reach 3,000 feet in a short time and will also allow me adequate protection from the automatic pilot. I will soundproof the ship, fix the controls, and return to the stern section.
You must be very tired, Joan, and Jerry also.
I am tired, Mother.
Well, I have felt a lot more chipper than I do now. But if there's anything to do, I can stick around and help do it.
Not a thing in the world, Jerry. You run along with Joan, get some sleep. If you can sleep on those thin steel sheets they call beds.
If the fatigue is sufficient, those couches will seem soft.
I managed to get some rest on one.
The control is now entirely automatic, Captain. Call me if you observe anything you do not understand.
I guess I can handle it all, Joan. Wait a minute. How about the radio? Can we use it?
I would not attempt to send messages until we have reached a point much nearer Los Angeles. As we descend, it will be more and more difficult for the Euclideans to determine our exact position, though they will easily locate us when we rise to the surface at the end of our journey. I think we can well afford to wait a few hours before sending any messages.
Right you are, Joan. Sorry I brought it up.
Come on. Let's go back and iron out that steel in those bunks. Don't forget to call us after the 4-hour watch.
If there should be any extreme vibration of the submarine, you will call me at once, Captain?
Right, Joan. Now go on to sleep and let Pat and me worry.
Well, I may be foolish, Tex, but I'm not worrying a great deal.
You know, neither am I. Joan knows what she's talking about. If she says we can reach Los Angeles in this thing and be safe as long as we stay near the bottom, well, I know we can do just that.
But how we must have changed, Tex. All in the few short months since we left home on this cruise to find Joan.
Yes, we've seen a lot. Become accustomed to some mighty strange things during that time. Not that submarines are anything new, but this is certainly a far better boat than anything we've got at home.
Yes, better than we have at home. That's what I'm afraid of, Tex. Not pursuit and capture by those scientists. Not G-47 and his threats. I'm afraid because there's a terrible fascination in what we've learned.
I know just how you feel, Pat. I felt it, but I didn't like to say it. After all our worry and struggle to get back home, I wonder, will we ever be happy there again?
That's just what I meant, Tex. I'm afraid we've seen too much to give it all up. Euclidia is a wonderful place.
Speeding bullet. More powerful than a locomotive. Able to leap tall buildings at a single bound. Look, up in the sky. It's a bird. It's a plane. It's Superman.
Yes, it's Superman, strange visitor from another planet, who came to Earth with powers and abilities far beyond those of mortal men. Superman, defender of law and order, champion of equal rights, valiant, courageous fighter against the forces of hate and prejudice. Today, the Man of Steel must find some plan for saving his friends in the beleaguered city of the moon. We'll join him in a moment. But right now, here's a word from your announcer, Dan McCullough.
You know, gang, when you want to describe something that's glowing and mighty pleasant, most often you say it's sunny, because that's the way we feel about good old sunshine. And that's the way most of us feel about sunny, golden toasted Kellogg's Pep. Why, the way that sunshine flavor perks up morning appetites is something special. And there's something special about the food values in Pep, too. Your mom knows that. In every serving, you get your daily minimum need of sunshine vitamin D that helps build strong bones and teeth, and more than twice as much vitamin B1 as in sun-ripened whole wheat. What's more, it's a good thing your family enjoys this sunny cereal, because then you get more of those exciting comic buttons. Fact is, you ought to be pretty close to having all 18 buttons in this series, because I'm going to have some big news for you mighty soon now. You probably have Moon Mullins and KO and Superman and lots of the others. But you know the best part is, these Pep comic buttons are so easy to get. You don't send in any money, not even a box stop, and you can't buy them anywhere. All you have to do is to remind Mom to get plenty of Kellogg's Pep, and there's an exciting prize in every package. Remember, that's P-E-P, Pep, the Sunshine Cereal, made by Kellogg's of Battle Creek. Now, the adventures of Superman.
In an underground city in the moon, Jimmy Olsen, Poco, Professor Twiddle, and the curious little moon dwellers who appear to be half man and half monkey are menaced by millions of great red ants, savage, primitive creatures who have surrounded the city. Temporarily halted by a water-filled moat, the ants ingeniously used leaves as rafts and began to ferry themselves across the water. Realizing he could not defend the city against the countless millions of ants, Superman decided to evacuate his friends and the moon dwellers to the surface of the planet. But when he blasted his way through, he discovered that night had fallen, and the cold was so intense that no human being could remain alive. As we continue now, the Man of Steel has returned to the beleaguered city, his mind seeking desperately for a solution. On the moat, innumerable leaves bearing the murderous ants are nearing the shore. The panicky moon dwellers are chattering wildly. Listen.
The ants are almost here. What are we going to do, Superman?
I don't know. I'm trying to think, Jim.
That's my beard. You better think of something quickly. 2 minutes after those great red ants enter the city, there won't be anything left of it. Or of us either.
I realize that, Professor.
Oh, woe is me. Such misery.
Wait. I've got it.
You have? What have you got?
A way out of this. We've got to act fast. Quick, Jim, Poco, Professor. Out of my arms with you.
But we can't go back to the surface of the moon. It's night and the temperature falls to 200 degrees below zero.
So the ghastly cold will freeze our bones and turn us into ice cream cones.
We're not going to the surface. We're going across the moat to the main tunnel. Hurry and get out of my arms.
But the tunnels are full of ants, too.
Not the main one. I cleared that out. All right, hang on now. I'll take you three to the tunnel first, then I'll come back for the moon dwellers. Here we go. Up and away! Here we are. All right, now you three wait.
But it's pretty dark in this tunnel. Are you sure there are no ants left?
I'm positive, Jim. I'm going for the moon dwellers now.
But bless my beard, we can't stay here indefinitely, Superman. When the ants don't find us in the city, they'll follow us here.
I've got a plan to prevent that. But every second counts if I'm to succeed. Don't move now. I'll be right back. Up and away!
He said he had a plan. I wonder what he's going to do. Bless you, he can't do anything, young man.
Oh, yes, he can. He's Superman.
What if he is? Even he can't destroy all those millions and millions and millions of primitive Formicoidea hymenoptera. He said so himself. Putting us in this tunnel is only delaying the inevitable.
There we are. There's the first load of moon dwellers. I'm going back for some more. Away!
Gee, these poor little guys are scared silly. What's that hanging on the Poco? Hey, don't be scared, fellas. Of course they're scared. They know that as soon as the great red ants find them...
Professor Twiddle, you're going too far. Must you frighten them more than they are?
Here's another load.
Are the ants across yet, Superman?
They're starting to land, Jim. Away!
Bless my beard. He said the ants have started to land. As soon as they find he's gone, they'll come after us.
You think so?
I'm positive. The Formicoidia hymenoptera are amazingly intelligent. They're the most highly developed of all insects, you know. In fact, some biologists go so far as to state that the ants will eventually take over the Earth.
Oh, no. Say not so.
Don't listen to him, Poco. The ants aren't going to take over the Earth, and they're not going to take over the moon either.
Let me point out that they have practically taken over the moon already, young man. The facts are...
Never mind any more facts, Professor. Aren't things bad enough without you trying to make them worse? Superman wasn't gone so long before. I wonder what happened.
For all we know, he may be a skeleton by now.
Oh, don't be silly. The ants can't hurt him. I wonder where he is.
Here I am, Jim. Got the last of the moon dwellers out just in time. The ants are all over the city.
But listen.
Oh, what a horrible, horrible pity. My poor little subjects now have no city.
Don't worry, Poco. If my plan works, the moon dwellers can go back to their city.
Oh, but the ants...
There won't be an ant left, I hope. Now listen. I'll tell you what I intend to do so you won't be frightened. First, I'm going to block both ends of this tunnel up.
Good heavens, why?
So you won't drown.
Drown?
Yes, I'm going to blast a channel from the city to the underground river about a half-mile away. The river will rush in here, flood the city, and drown the ants.
Bless my soul, that's a splendid idea. But how do you expect to create a channel a half-mile long through solid rock?
You forget he's Superman, Professor.
He is? Oh, why, yes, so he is.
I'm going to work now. I'll be back as soon as it's over. So long.
Well, he blocked up the entrance. Gosh, it's pitch dark in here now.
It certainly is. I can't see my face in front of my head. Something jumped on me.
Well, take it easy, Professor. It's the moon dwellers. I guess Superman's blast and scared them. Hey, relax, fellas.
How can I relax when they're putting my beard? Release my beard. Release my beard. Poco, don't shoot me. Little devil. Let them let go of my beard. Poco, stop laughing, my man. Poco.
Let go of his beard. Let go, I said. Sit down and be thankful you're not dead.
Oh, thank you, Poco. Thank you very much. Bless my beard. Perhaps my beard is gone.
You just have to go to a barber now, Professor.
A barber? Oh, an excellent idea, young man. Can you direct me to the nearest barber shop?
Sure. It's just about 250,000 miles away.
Oh, well, in that... 250,000 miles. Bless my soul, I'd forgotten. We're stuck on the moon. The ants, the primitive great red ants, will be eaten alive.
Oh, relax. Superman is going to flood the city and drown them. Don't you hear him blasting a channel from the underground river? Hey, listen. It's water.
Water?
From the river. It's pouring in to flood the city and drown the ants.
Oh, wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. Superman is amazing. Really amazing.
You can say that again.
Huh? Oh, why, certainly. Superman is amazing. Really amazing. Amazing, 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 amazing.
Okay, that's enough. Between you and these little moon dwellers, a guy can go nuts. Say, what's the matter with them now?
With whom?
Well, the moon dwellers. They're jumping and chuck-chucking like crazy.
I had them quiet, and then something frightened them again.
Well, tell them their troubles are all over, Poco. Superman is finishing up the ants.
Well, to me, their language is a riddle. You talk to them, Professor Twiddle.
Why, yes, of course. They're pulling my beard again. Let go, you little rascals. Let go. Why, they did let go. They're running away. And I didn't speak to them in their language at all. As a matter of fact, I can't speak their language. Wait, Professor, wait. Wait for what, young man?
Listen.
Listen to what?
Don't you hear that? Stop them. Stop them.
Stop what?
Stop them, I said. Thinks now we are done for. Stop it. Stop. Stop it.
Shouting wildly, Jimmy Olsen rushes away into the pitch darkness of the tunnel under the moon, leaving Professor Twiddle and Poco puzzled and alarmed. What has happened now? We'll return in a moment for the exciting climax of today's episode. But first, here again is your announcer.
You know, my young friends tell me it's pretty exciting these days collecting comic buttons from packages of Kellogg's Pep, because they're coming close to having all 18 buttons in the series, and they can hardly wait for the exciting news I've been promising. Think of it. 18 different pictures of your funny paper favorites done up in full bright red and blue and black on long-lasting metal buttons that you can sport on your jacket or dress or cap. And think of the fun in collecting these Pep comic buttons. There's the thrill when Mom opens a new package of Kellogg's Pep of seeing which button is inside. Maybe it's a duplicate, so that you can have even more fun trading with your pals. Maybe it'll even be Superman himself, powerfully handsome in his bright blue jersey and flying red cape. So hop to it, gang. Better remind Mom to get you some more of that super delicious whole wheat flake cereal, Kellogg's Pep, because that's the only way you can get these exclusive prizes. You don't send in a single penny, not even a box stop, and you can't buy them anywhere, but there's a comic button, a prize for you in every package of P.E.P. Pep, the Sunshine Cereal, made by Kellogg, the greatest name in cereals. Now, back to the adventures of Superman.
Just as our friends in the underground tunnel thought their great peril was over, Jimmy Olsen suddenly began shouting in alarm and rushed off into the darkness. As we continue a minute later, Jimmy rushes back to the astonished Coco and Professor Twiddle.
They won't listen to me, and I can't see them in the dark. Stop them, Poco.
Oh, stop what? Stop whom? I can't see a thing in this heavenly gloom.
Yes, what are you talking about, young man? The moon dwellers. Can't you see what they're doing?
See? Bless my beard, how can one see anything in this darkness?
But you can hear them. Oh, my gosh, stop them or we're done for.
Oh, take it easy, Jim. Relax, before your nervous system cracks.
Poco is right, young man. Will you both stop jabbering and do something? We'll all be drowned if you don't.
That's right.
I guess drowned. Can't you hear the moon dwellers boring through the tunnel walls? The water's starting to come in already.
What? But bless my beard, I do hear them drilling.
Stop them, Poco, stop them.
Yes, stop them, stop them. Bless my beard, my feet are getting wet. Stop the drilling. The tunnel with water is rapidly filling.
Well, fine king you are, Poco. They're not paying any attention. And the water's over our ankles. Get away from the walls, you little dopes. You'll drown, too.
Get away. Bless my beard. The water's up to my knees. Bless my knees. In a moment, it'll be up to my beard. Oh, dear. The end is near.
This time, Poco, you're right. We're going to drown like rats. Superman. Hey, Superman.
Oh,
Superman,
help.
help.
What will we do? Bless my beard. Help.
Oh, he can't hear us in all this noise, and he can't see us on account of the lead in the soil.
Help. Superman.
Saved from the savage primitive ants, our friends are now threatened again, and this time there seems to be no escape. What will happen to Jimmy Olsen, Poco, and Professor Twiddle, and to the little moon dwellers, whose panic has brought on a flooded tunnel, a catastrophe Superman had not expected? Fellows and girls, tomorrow brings a smashing climax to our story, in a way you'd never expect. So be sure to listen, same time, same station, to learn what happens to our friends on the moon. Tune in and follow The Adventures of Superman. Faster than a speeding bullet. More powerful than a locomotive. Able to leap tall buildings at a single bound. Look, up in the sky. It's a bird. It's a plane. It's Superman.
Fellows and girls, be sure to follow the adventures of Superman. Brought to you every day, Monday through Friday, same time, same station, by the grand old Kellogg Company of Battle Creek. And for other thrilling adventures of Superman, see your local newspaper. Superman is also a copyrighted feature appearing in Superman DC publications. Say, gang, here's some razzle-dazzle news to flash to Mom. Kellogg's Variety is back. So now, everybody at the breakfast table can have the Kellogg cereal he likes best. Because Kellogg's Variety is that grand variety carton holding 10 generous packages of 6 favorite Kellogg cereals. Are they delicious? And does Kellogg's Variety make breakfast fun? Why, it's better than a grab bag because you get what you really want. Today, ask Mom to get Kellogg's Variety, the package that makes breakfast a picnic. And be sure to be with us tomorrow for the thrilling adventures of Superman. This is the Mutual Broadcasting System. Kellogg's Pep, the super delicious cereal, presents
The Adventures of Superman. Faster than a speeding bullet. More powerful than a locomotive. Able to leap tall buildings at a single bound. Look, up in the sky. It's a bird. It's a plane. It's Superman. Yes, it's Superman, strange visitor from another planet, who came to Earth with powers and abilities far beyond those of mortal men. Superman, defender of law and order, champion of equal rights, valiant, courageous fighter against the forces of hate and prejudice. Today there is great trouble brewing beneath the surface of the moon. But before we journey there to join Jimmy Olsen and his companions, let's join our friend Rusty, who's making a big announcement to his pal, Dan McCullough. And he's mighty excited about it.
This is it, Dan, this is it. Isn't it the best
Hey there now, wait a minute. What is it?
It's the very last comic button I need to round out my collection. Mom opened a new package of Kellogg's Pep this morning, and there was a Superman button.
A Superman button? But you already have one of those.
Yeah, I know, but Pee-wee needs a Superman, and he has an extra Moon Mullins button to trade. And that's just the one I need to get all 18 comic buttons. Isn't that swell?
Hey, it sure is, Rusty.
Well, I strut around now with all these buttons pinned on my jacket. All of them, think of it.
You know what, Rusty? You're a mighty lucky guy.
I sure am. I've been trying to get...
Yes, sir, you're a mighty lucky guy.
Yeah. Hey, why do you keep saying that? You're a mighty lucky guy.
Well, you are, aren't you? To get your collection complete?
Yeah, but you said that kind of funny. What do you mean?
Well, you just stick around until Monday and listen to the big news I have for you then.
What, Dan? What is it?
Oh, no, I can't tell you now. But I will say this. When I spill that big news, all the fellows and girls who are collecting Pep comic buttons are going to be mighty thrilled. So get busy, gang. Check up and see how close you are to getting all 18 buttons in this series. You know, these comic buttons are easy to get. You don't have to send in a single penny, not even a box top, and you can't buy them anywhere. All you have to do is to make sure Mom keeps stocked up on that super delicious whole wheat flake cereal, Kellogg's Pep, because there's an exclusive prize in each package of P.E.P. Pep, the Sunshine Cereal, made by Kellogg's of Battle Creek. Now, the adventures of Superman.
When the strange city beneath the surface of the moon was surrounded by millions of savage, primitive red ants, Superman evacuated Jimmy Olsen, Poco, Professor Twiddle, and the curious little moon dwellers to a large tunnel. Blocking both ends of the tunnel, he began blasting a channel through the rock to a subterranean river, planning to flood the city and drown the ants. The little moon dwellers, however, who appeared to be half man and half monkey, became frightened by the blasting and started to bore through the walls of the tunnel with their long corkscrew noses. Before Jimmy and Poco could stop them, the floodwaters were pouring through the holes into the dark tunnel. As we continue now, Jimmy, Poco, and the professor seem hopelessly trapped as the water, still rising, swirls around their chests. Listen.
Superman, help! Superman!
Superman!
Help!
Superman!
Bless my beard, why doesn't he come?
Can't hear us. He must be too far away.
But he's got to hear us. He's got to. I must return to Earth and write a book about our amazing experiences on the moon.
Oh, that's fine. The water's almost up to our necks, and you're talking about writing a book.
But I must write it. I simply must. I must inform the world that there's an atmosphere on the other side of the moon, and prehistoric winged mammals, and moon creatures, and... bless my soul, young man, what did you say about the water?
I said it's almost up to our necks.
Why, so it is. Bless my beard, it's all wet. I mean, my beard. In a moment more, we'll be... Heavens alive, we won't be, will we?
Oh, water, go away. Come again some other day.
Might as well save your breath, Poco. It keeps getting higher and higher.
Bless my...
Oh, thanks, my friend. We've reached the end.
I guess we have, Poco. I think the lizards.
Lizards? What about lizards?
The water.
Lizards in the water, heavenly day.
No. The water, it's going down.
It is?
Yes, it's going down fast, too. It's down to my shoulders already.
Oh, you're right. Oh, what a delight.
Why, bless my beard, so it is. But what's making it go down?
I don't know, but it is. Oh, boy, we're saved. We're saved.
Oh, Professor Twiddle, it's down to my middle.
This is amazing, really amazing. I must record this phenomenon. Where's my notebook? My notebook, I say. Has anyone seen my notebook?
Oh, has anyone seen my little moon dwellers? Or are they lost in these dismal cellars?
I think they're hanging onto the vines that grow in the ceiling of the tunnel. Probably too scared to talk. What's that?
That's my beard.
Oh, me. More misery.
Relax, everybody.
Superman.
Yes, and the red ants are finished, so you can go back. Uh-oh, where did all this water come from?
The little moon dwellers got scared and bored holes in the tunnel trying to get out.
What?
I'm a nervous wreck. It was up to my neck.
Well, it looks as if I blocked the river and deepened the moat just in time.
The moat? Oh, yes, the moat. What about the moat?
I deepened it to drain the water off the city. Your subjects' houses are a little wet, Poco, but they'll dry out in no time.
Mere words can scarcely indicate how much we all appreciate what you have done to save us from these menaces so sinister. And, as the king of all this land, I make you my prime minister.
Well, thanks very much, Poco.
You made me Secretary of the Interior. I guess we rate. Hey, what about the professor, Poco? I haven't given him any office yet.
Pish, tush, I haven't time to hold office. I must get back to Earth and write my book.
Gosh, I've got to get back, too. My mother must be worried about me. And Mr. White and Mr. Kent and Miss Lane.
What about you, Poco? Think you can leave your kingdom and come back to Metropolis with us?
Well, of course he's coming back. Can't stay up here on the moon.
But back home, I'm a crook, and up here, I'm a king. Oh, how can I go and leave such a thing?
But gee whiz, Poco.
On the other hand, I very much fear. Well, I'd always be unhappy here.
Oh, now you're talking. Come on, everybody. Oh, wait.
I just remembered.
What?
Oh, the rocket's busted. How are we going to get home?
Yes, my dear, that's true. The moon dwellers and the great winged mammals tore it to pieces.
Oh, what luck. We're stuck.
But gosh, we can't be.
Now, don't worry, Jim. I'll get you home.
Not even you can do that, Superman. We can't receive the radar beam, and without it, you'll be lost in space.
I don't think so, Professor. You see, once we get around to the other side, I can see the Earth from the moon, just as we can see the moon from the Earth. Since finding my way here by the radar beam, I think I can manage the trip back without it. You three will be safe under my cape. I think we better get going. We'll walk to the end of the tunnel and take off through the shaft I blasted to the surface. All right, let's go.
Well, look at all the moon dwellers crowding around Poco. I guess they know he's leaving them. Goodbye. Goodbye, my little friends. Too sad to think our friendship ends. Be brave, be honest, and be true. Goodbye to every one of you.
Walking to the end of the tunnel, Superman wraps his cape about Jimmy, Professor Twiddle, and the almost tearful Poco, and gathers them in his arms. Then, waving farewell to the strange little moon creatures, he leaps up through the shaft, circles above the bleak and desolate moon, its mountains and craters gleaming silvery white in the cold night. 250,000 miles away, he sees the planet Earth, a round ball hanging in the heavens, and calling on his powerful muscles for all their speed, he streaks away into vast space. Like some meteor torn from its orbit, the Man of Steel flashes through the awesome reaches, whirling and twisting from the stabbing cosmic rays in the depths of space, rocketing on with his precious cargo. And then at last he reaches the orbit of Earth, and veering once more takes his bearings for Metropolis. Downward once more he streaks in a long gliding angle, and seeing the open roof he seeks, drops through it to land before the astonished Perry White and gloomy Gus, Professor Twiddle's sad-faced assistant. All out, end of the line. Superman! How are you, Mr. White?
Chief, wait till I tell you where we've been.
Wait till I tell you a thing or two. Scaring me out of my wits. Scaring your mother and you, Poco. I've got a thing or two to say to you, too. What's that silly thing on your head?
Oh, what do you mean, a silly thing? This is a crown, and I'm a king.
I found you. And you, sir. I suppose you're Professor Twiddle.
Professor Timothy T. Twiddle, yes, sir. A.B., M.A., Ph.D., F.R.S.C.
You're the crackpot responsible for all this, eh?
Crackpot? Whom are you calling a crackpot?
I am calling you one. A rocket trip to the moon. Of all the...
That is an insult, sir, and I'll resent it as soon as I have time. Right now I have a book to write, a most amazing book. The name Twiddle will be the greatest name in science. Thus...
Right here, Professor. I told you you'd never make it.
Never make it. I did make it, you idiot. I did. Bless my beard. Here's my notebook. It was down here all the time.
Oh, hell, no wonder you couldn't find it on the moon, Professor.
On the moon? Now, look here, Olson.
Please, no interruptions. I must have perfect quiet. The whole world is waiting breathlessly for my book. Now, begin writing, Gus. I, Timothy T. Twiddle, arrived on the moon in company with my young friend, James...
And so the adventure on the moon comes to an end, with Professor Timothy T. Twiddle, A.B., M.A., Ph.D., etc., dictating the first chapter of his long-postponed book to Gloomy Gus. One of these fine days, we'll hear from Professor Twiddle again. But right now, unknown to Perry White or Superman, another amazing adventure is on its way. An adventure that will take our friends into the heart of Chinatown. We'll be back in a moment to learn how it begins. But first, here again is your announcer.
You know, gang, from the number of comic buttons I've seen fellows and girls wearing around lately, I'd say that folks are eating a lot of that super delicious whole wheat flake cereal, Kellogg's Pep. And I'd say that lots of the kids in the gang have collected all 18 Pep comic buttons in this series. In our neighborhood, there's been a real flurry of trading duplicates. And I noticed that there's still plenty of excitement when a new Pep comic button shows up. It's no wonder, because these are just about the best-looking things you ever saw. You won't want to miss out on a single one, and you don't have to. Just ask Mom to get you a good supply of Kellogg's Pep. That's how easy it is to get these exclusive prizes. You don't have to send in any money, not even a box top, and you can't buy them anywhere. But there's a snappy-looking comic button in every package of P.E.P. Pep, the Sunshine Cereal, made by Kellogg, the greatest name in cereals. And remember, gang, there'll be big news next Monday. Be sure to listen in. Now, back to the adventures of Superman.
The scene is Perry White's office at the Daily Planet. The excitable editor is alone with Clark Kent.
And for the last time, Kent, where were you? You haven't been at the office since the day before yesterday. Oh, I was around. Around where? Oh, here and there. Don't you give me that here and there business. Well, I want to know where. I'm paying you a salary. I have a right to know what you do with your time. Believe me, Chief, it was spent to good advantage. That's not enough. Where were you? Well, now, what would you say if I told you I was on the moon? I'd say you were as crazy as that Biddle or Friddle or Kiddle or... Twiddle. Where were you? Now, look, Chief, that's your phone. I hear it. I'm not deaf. White speaking. Who? Oh, yes, put him on. Now, don't go away, Captain. I'm not through with you.
Yes, teacher.
And don't think it's a joke. It's about time I... hello? Hello? Yes. How are you, Doctor? Really? Sorry to hear it. What's that? Well, I don't know. It's pretty late. Want to keep till morning? That important, eh? All right, I'll be right down. Yes, I'll leave immediately. Right.
Well, evidently you have something important to do, Chief. I'll see you in the morning.
Hey, you come back here.
But, Chief...
Come back, I said.
Well, I just heard you say...
Never mind what I said. That was Chi Wan.
Who?
Dr. Chi Wan, an old friend of mine. Oriental scholar and dealer in art. Remarkable person.
Sounds like he might be.
Yes, he is. We're driving down to Chinatown to see him.
Why?
Because he's in trouble, that's why. Now get your hat and coat and meet me at the elevator.
Did he say what kind of trouble?
No, but he said enough. He said it was a matter of life and death. And for Chi Wan to say something like that means plenty of trouble.
Yes, Mr. White, your Oriental friend, Dr. Chi Wan, is in plenty of trouble. In fact, you're going to be in trouble, too. Gang, don't miss tomorrow's opening episode in this new Superman adventure, The Mystery of the Dragon's Teeth. Every moment of it is exciting. So be sure to tune in tomorrow, same time, same station, for episode 1 of The Mystery of the Dragon's Teeth in the Adventures of Superman. Faster than a speeding bullet. More powerful than a locomotive. Able to leap tall buildings at a single bound. Look, up in the sky. It's a bird. It's a plane. It's Superman.
Fellows and girls, be sure to follow the Adventures of Superman. Brought to you every day, Monday through Friday, same time, same station, by the grand old Kellogg Company of Battle Creek. And for other thrilling adventures of Superman, see your local newspaper. Superman is also a copyrighted feature appearing in Superman DC publications. Give a hip hip hooray, gang. It's back. For you and me, now there's Kellogg's famous variety. That's the swell variety carton with 10 separate generous packages of Kellogg cereals, including Kellogg's Pep, Rice Krispies, shredded wheat corn flakes, crumbles, and 40% bran flakes. Each box in Kellogg's variety holds a fresh, crisp, heaping portion. Just help yourself to your favorite kind. Makes breakfast a picnic of fun. So ask Mom to get Kellogg's variety right away. And be sure to be with us tomorrow for the thrilling adventures of Superman. This is the Mutual Broadcasting System.
Finding life rather dull, dreaming again of exotic places, wishing you were somewhere else? We offer you Escape.
Escape with us now to a small freighter in the China Seas and a sinister traveler who brings destruction to crew and ship alike, as Ellis St. Joseph tells it in his most unusual play, A Passenger to Bali.
The papers in my pocket read Steamship Roundabout, 9,000 tons, British registry. Master and owner, Captain English. Stamped across the face was the clearance of Port Authority. I'd be glad to see the last of Shanghai, its smell and its waterfront filth. Cargoes had been scarce. Now, with our hold filled for the first time in months, I didn't want to waste time. I wanted to get underway before morning. Mr. Slaughter!
Aye, Captain.
Would you step up here to the bridge, mister?
Aye, sir.
Are we ready to sail, mister?
All secure, sir.
All hands on board?
Aye, sir.
Good. Let's clear port, Mr. Slaughter.
Yes, sir. Mr. Angle, stand by the castle. Stand by. Stand by. Let go the stern spring line. You there on the dock. Take that line forward. Forward, you lump of meat. Here, you can't board now.
But, my good fellow, I am aboard.
The ship is about to sail.
Who is it, Mr. Slaughter?
Oh, someone who insists he talk with you, sir.
Stay there. I'll be down. Well, what is it? Have I the honor of addressing Captain English of the Roundabout?
I am Captain English.
Allow me to introduce myself, Captain. I am the Reverend Walks, a missionary bound for Bali.
What can I do for you?
You can offer me your hand?
Come to your point, Mr. Walks. We're about to sail.
I am told your boat puts in at Butte along the port of Bali. Is that correct?
Yes.
Good. Here you will find my passport and papers of identification. If the papers and myself shall meet with your approval, we can settle the matter of money, and I shall sail with you tonight.
You've been misinformed, Mr. Walks. The Roundabout is a trading steamer with no accommodations for passengers.
You'll find I need little.
I'm sorry, but it's impossible. Good night, sir.
Name your price.
What's that?
A customary fare from Shanghai to Bali is $100. I'll double it.
Sorry.
Don't tell me there isn't room in your cash box for $200.
That's a lot of money, Mr. Walks.
Think of the reward for bringing grace to the pagan Balinese.
Let me see your papers. Well, your passport seems to be in order. A photograph. You.
And the money, Captain English. The money is also interesting. Is it not?
Where is your luggage, Mr. Walks?
On the dock. 2 cases of Bibles.
I'll see to them. Mr. Slaughter, take Mr. Walks forward. Tell Mr. Wrangle to get the luggage aboard.
Aye, sir. Thank you, Captain English. You won't regret your choice. And now, if you'll just lead the way, Mr. Slaughter.
I watched him walk away, his monstrous bulk shadowing grotesquely in the foggy half-light, his great bull neck creasing into massive shoulders, his shaggy black hair wild and unkempt. I didn't like this man, this missionary, strange in his ways and manners. Yet I found myself thinking that, after all, he was a man of God. Perhaps later I would come to understand him. The fog was thicker now. I shook myself free of the depression I felt. Mr. Wrangle!
I can.
Prepare to cast off. We sail immediately. It was the 3rd night out of Shanghai when Mr. Slaughter brought the first trouble to my cabin.
I found her in the afterhold, sir. Come on board in Shanghai.
Obviously, Mr. Slaughter. Come here, girl. I won't hurt you. Come here. What is your name, girl?
I don't think she understands English, sir. Probably Chinese from the looks of her.
I understand.
What are you doing aboard this steamer?
Must come on ship.
What do you mean, must come on ship? Why?
Must come.
Now, look here. Do you know what is done with stowaways?
Stowaways?
Yes, people who sneak on board a ship without paying.
I do not know.
There's no place to put her ashore, sir, until we reach Bali.
I know, and yet she can't have the run of the ship.
We could lock her in the empty cabin, sir.
You forget, Slaughter. There is no empty cabin now. Mr. Walks is in it.
Mr. Walk. Mr. Walk.
You know Mr. Walks, girl?
Oh, Mr. Walk.
Mr. Slaughter, would you ask Mr. Walks to step into my cabin, please?
Aye, sir. I'll only be a minute.
Gentlemen, I couldn't help but hear my name being spoken. May I be of service to you, Captain?
What are you running for?
I don't appreciate eavesdropping outside my cabin.
Eavesdropping? My dear Captain, you do me an injustice. I was merely passing by.
As you say, Mr. Walks. Mr. Walks, do you know this young girl? Have you ever seen her before?
What a charming child. What a delight. I'm sorry, Captain. I'm afraid I cannot help you. I have never seen her in my life.
Mr. Walk, you tell me no.
After all, Captain English, you could hardly expect a man like myself to know a girl from what must obviously be a sordid livelihood. I have never seen this girl before.
She came aboard this boat to be with you.
Did she tell you so?
No, but it's obviously so.
Even though I am dedicated as a missionary to aid and comfort the distressed, I do not feel obligated to lie merely to smooth the path for another's crime. This girl is obviously far beyond any spiritual help or material comfort that I could give her. Good day, gentlemen.
Girl, did you know this man in Shanghai?
Yes,
Did you know him well?
very well. He was not... Yes, very well.
Slaughter and I talked with the girl for a long while, but we could learn nothing further. After more questions, useless ones, I had the first mate take her forward and feed her and find her a bed. I would talk with Mr. Walks in the morning. Slaughter and I were eating breakfast, and Mr. Walks came into the mess room. He sat down. His gigantic, obscene body overflowed from his chair across the table.
Good morning, gentlemen. I trust your nights were pleasant ones.
Mr. Walks, I want to talk with you about that girl.
The girl? Oh, yes, a tragedy.
I want you to tell me all you know about her. Then I'll decide what's to be done.
What's to be done? Captain, you're overstepping your bounds. This is God's work. Now?
What do you mean?
Oh, dear. You haven't heard?
Heard what, Mr. Walks? What is there to hear?
About the girl, Mr. Slaughter. The poor girl.
What of her?
It seems she met with an accident last night.
Accident?
Yes, at least so I presume. There is some small evidence that she has left our ship now to ride in a mightier, more wonderful vessel. Perhaps even now she is riding across the heavens in a chariot of flaming gold.
What are you talking about?
The poor, demented girl sought succor in the depths of water about us.
What?
Her pitiful torn shawl lies amid the hawsers at the stern. She committed suicide sometime last night. Well, must I eat alone, or will you gentlemen stay for a second cup of coffee?
In my own mind, I knew what had happened, and I'm sure Slaughter did. I felt certain Walks had killed her and thrown her overboard. But there was nothing I could do. 4 days later, we dropped anchor in the harbor of Bulalong. The ship's officers and I were anxious to get our cargo unloaded and to know that we were rid of Mr. Walks. I was in my cabin going through the routine of bills of lading and ship's papers with a port officer, Mr. Matsis, new at the job and overcautious.
About your passenger. He is a missionary?
Yes, he came aboard in Shanghai.
Captain, since there have been certain changes in Bali, we now have no need of such a person. This man's name is what?
Walks, the Reverend Mr. Walks.
You do not usually carry passengers, Captain?
No, we don't.
Could I speak with this man?
No, of course.
Merely a formality.
Of course, I'll have the mess boy locate him. Be only a minute.
Captain English?
Oh, I was looking for you, Mr. Walks.
For you. The port officer would like to see me. I overheard. But first, let me give you this.
$200. What's this for?
The use of a lifeboat.
What are you talking about?
A lifeboat, Captain. I need one to get ashore. You wouldn't have me swim.
The port officer wants to talk with you. Come along.
Wait, Captain.
Walks, I'm as anxious to have you off my boat as you are to leave. You can only go ashore in the proper way at the proper time.
This is your last chance. Yours as well as mine. Let me go ashore now or take the consequences. You'll search the four corners of the globe looking for this minute. Don't let it slip through your fingers. There's an eternity in it.
Captain English. This man is not a missionary. His name is not Walks. All Indonesia is close to him.
What? You mean he can't land? Oh, no, this is ridiculous, Mr. Matches. This man doesn't belong to me. I refuse to be burdened with him.
You have no choice. He's on your ship. He belongs to you.
This man booked passage from Shanghai to Bali, and I refuse to take him further.
I am sorry, Captain English, but this is not my concern. During the time you are in port, a police guard will be placed on this man. He will not be allowed out of his cabin. When you sail, He will sail with you.
Who is this man?
Call him a murderer, an anarchist, a revolutionary. It does not matter. During the recent trouble here, he fought on both sides and profiteered from both sides. As I said, Indonesia is close to him. Your papers are in order and stamped, Captain. Good day.
I warned you, Captain. You should have let me go. You should have let me go ashore in the lifeboat. For now and the time ahead, you are going to see a great deal of your passenger to Bali. Yes, a great deal.
Escape, under the direction of Norman MacDonald, is bringing you Ella St. Joseph's great play, A Passenger to Bali.
It was the 6th week. 42 days before, we had taken on a passenger in Shanghai, bound for Bali. 3 days after he boarded the ship, he had murdered a young girl, a stowaway. We all knew he had, but we couldn't prove it. Now we were anchored outside the harbor of Bangkok. I was in the deck house, and Mr. Slaughter rapped on the door.
Well, Captain, what's the news?
Bad, I'm afraid.
Walks hasn't been refused again.
Again. Just as he was in Makassar and Lembang in Batavia. The same words, the same reasons as in Bali.
Captain English, there was a fight in the forecastle this morning. One of the men hurt bad, and it was because of walks.
Who were the men?
Able Seaman Coles and Duncan, sir.
Coles and Duncan? Oh, they're friends.
Yes, sir, they were. It's all Mr. Walk's doing, sir. The three of them were arguing about something, and suddenly like the fight starts. Duncan was cut heavy in the chest. Walks just sat by.
Where is he now?
In the mess, sir.
I'll be right back. Wait here. Mr. Walks. Mr. Walks!
Oh, Captain English, I didn't hear you come in. I was reading. The Bible, as a matter of fact. Did you want to speak with me?
I am told you are directly responsible for an injury sustained by a member of my crew.
Oh, yes, that tragic episode between Duncan and Coles. I'd almost forgotten.
I could have you put in irons.
For what reason? I did nothing. The men were discussing religion, and I was simply pointing out certain points to each.
They went at each other with knives.
Like children in the fever of the moment. Was there something else you wanted, Captain?
Mr. Walks,
Well?
No. Walks had dismissed me on my own ship. I had to get rid of this man. His personality was infecting us all. In the past month, he had come to order about the lesser members of the crew. He had his meals served whenever and wherever he wished. He drank liquor from my own locker. As I watched the harbor traffic of Bangkok, I knew there was only one thing to do. Mr. Slaughter.
Aye, sir.
We will weigh anchor.
How do we shape our course, sir?
Southeast by east, 3/4 south.
Aye, sir, southeast. That's Shanghai, Captain.
Yes, Mr. Slaughter, that's Shanghai. On the 2 weeks' return trip to Shanghai, I began to feel myself a stranger on my own ship. The trim little China Seas freighter was becoming a floating prison, and the jailer was Mr. Walks. My Kanaka crew, emotional and superstitious, were in love with him. They worshipped him, worshipped his massive body and his liquor-fed eloquence. My deck officers and I could feel control slipping through our fingers, and we were powerless to do anything about it. Then, finally, it was the last night. Tomorrow, we would anchor in Shanghai.
And so we're back to where we started from.
But at least we'll be rid of him.
I hope there's no slip-up this time.
There won't be.
They want him,
Yes, Shanghai is as anxious to capture him as every other port was to reject him. They won't risk his escape.
What's he done, Captain?
Walks has been mixed up in something foul in every country he's touched. Heaven only knows what crimes he's committed. But shortly we'll be free of him. Now let's have a drink to that.
I don't mind, Captain.
Get a new bottle out of the sideboard, will you? Here are the keys. Good, just put it here. Oh, and 2 glasses.
You should make it 3 glasses. Well, gentlemen, surely you'll invite me to join you.
No, Mr. Walks. We'll not.
Then I shall have to help myself.
I think I'd better get out on deck, Captain. You'll excuse me.
Wonderful, wonderful. Too bad poor Mr. Slaughter couldn't stay.
Glad you enjoy my whiskey.
You have good taste, Captain. Good taste in everything. Whiskey, boats. The Roundabout is an ideal little steamer. You might almost say I found a home here.
You packed, Mr. Walks.
A comfortable cabin, good food, now that I've schooled your cook. A well-stocked liquor cabinet.
Are you packed, Mr. Wilkes?
Oh, no. No, I am not packed.
You haven't much time. Tomorrow we'll be anchored at Shanghai and you'll be taken away, I hope, to jail.
You could be wrong, Captain. It might turn out that I shall stay forever aboard your ship. Until eternity.
Walks, I've never liked you. Not since that first night when you came aboard in Shanghai. Oh? You're filthy. You're rotten, unclean. You're a murderer by your own influence.
This is no time for heated argument. Drink a toast with me, Captain.
You got into the very core of the ship with your rottenness.
A toast, Captain.
You seduced the whole crew, the Kanaka deckhands, the mess boys. Every day they're becoming more slovenly, more lax.
Very well, I shall drink a toast myself. To the Roundabout, may the comforts I've come to enjoy be not lost too soon.
I'd sink my ship before I'd allow you to stay aboard her one day longer.
Perhaps Shanghai will present an answer to surprise us both.
When this ship leaves Shanghai, Mr. Walks, it will leave free of you. Now, good night, sir. It was in the sweltering noon of the next day that Mr. Chisholm, the British consul at Shanghai, was seated in my cabin, a long drink in his thin hands.
Captain, the Chinese port authorities have told me of your predicament. I am to handle it in my own way, according to their instructions.
I don't understand.
Well, it's extremely simple. In every spot, every port, every town in which this man sets foot, some sort of trouble's broken out.
Oh, I know this, sir.
Well, I cannot be sure this man is responsible, but after all, the law of averages...
But, Mr. Chisholm, I want this man off my hands. How soon can you arrange this?
I'm afraid I didn't make myself clear. Shanghai does not want him. Neither does the British consulate.
But this man is a criminal.
Oh, Mr. Walks would certainly be arrested the moment he set foot on land. But he'll not be given that opportunity.
Now, look, Mr. Chisholm, you've got to take that man ashore.
Oh, I'm afraid your now famous passenger is a man without a country.
Am I expected to sail him around the world the rest of my days?
I am sorry, Captain English. I'm sorry. You will depart at your earliest convenience. Good day, sir.
And so we sailed from Shanghai, the Roundabout, and Mr. Walks. In the weeks that followed, a great shadow lay over the ship. Wrangle, the second mate, fell ill, stayed in his cabin. Slaughter began drinking even during his watches. The ship seemed to smell of evil. Mr. Walks became the real captain of the Roundabout. Then, sweeping in from the edges of the China Sea, came an even more destructive power, typhoon. The barometer had been falling for 3 days, and it was on the forenoon watch that the storm hit with its full impact. For 7 hours, the roundabout wallowed through the seething masses of water. Then an emergency call from the quartermaster brought me to the bridge. I went into the wheelhouse.
The power unit and the rudder control is going out.
Where's the mate?
Went out, sir. Trying to correct trouble. We're on manual operation now, sir.
You'll need another man to help you. Get help.
But, sir, you can't...
I can handle it till you get back. Hurry, man. If this thing gets out of control and starts spinning, the rudder will tear itself free in a matter of minutes. Now, go on, man. Hurry.
Aye, sir.
With the steam-powered gears to help me, each wave that hit the shuddering ship made the great wheel come alive beneath my hands. I stood, feet braced against the wild pitching of the vessel, shoulders and arms straining to retain control. I tried to gauge the monstrous waves rushing toward us, tried to ease the groaning ship through millions of tons of lashing water. My muscles pulled and ached as each gray-green monster hit. I could hear nothing over the scream of the storm. I turned, looking for the quartermaster, and in that second it happened. I had been flung off the wheel like a marionette, and now it spun free, spinning one way and then the other with each roll of the ship. I tried to get to my feet. My leg was twisted under me. My ship! What have you done to my ship? Walks! Get a rope. Stop the wheel. I'll stop it. No, it will cut your hands off. Get a rope. No time. Get a rope, you fool. It'll kill you, Walk. Stay away from it. I'll stop it if I have to smash it. You've done it. You've got the wheel on your back. I've got more than the wheel. I've got the whole ocean on my back. Can you hold it a minute longer, Walk? I'll help you. Hold on until I get there.
Never mind, Captain. It will not be necessary.
What? What did you say?
The rudder has just snapped. I'm holding nothing.
The next morning, the storm was gone. Gone as quickly as it had come. Replaced by a thick, yellow, clinging fog through which the roundabout floated, broken, wrecked, sinking. Her wireless gone, half her crew dead. She might go in half an hour, or she might last a week. But I had the safety of my crew to think about. My ship. I had given the order to abandon her.
Like rats, we leave the sinking ship. Leave room for me up forward. I have need to stretch my legs.
You won't be with us this trip, Mr. Walks.
My luggage is not aboard the lifeboat.
You're staying aboard the roundabout. I've left you a sextant. There's plenty of food and liquor, even enough for you.
I'm not going.
No, you're not going. The ship is yours now. Do with her what you want.
But that's murder. You're murdering me.
I have no idea how soon the ship will sink, or even if she will. You may be picked up today, or tomorrow, or you may float here for years.
Captain English, we could...
Stay where you are.
But look,
this
Captain,
gun can speak even above your voice, Walks. This is for the last time. Goodbye, Mr. Walks.
Wait, Captain. Hey, it's not man's province to judge. No creature under your wings that will have to die.
Cast loose, Mr. Slaughter.
All right.
Without compassion. Without...
All right, then.
Row, you fools. Row. Even now you may not have seen the last of me. Row.
And so I left the roundabout. I left everything I owned. Everything except my freedom. The roundabout grew dimmer in the fog, and the figure of a man standing well forward in the bow of an empty ship. It was the last thing I could see before the fog closed in.
Under the direction of Norman MacDonald, Escape has brought you A Passenger to Bali by Ellis St. Joseph, especially adapted for radio by Mr. MacDonald. John Daner was starred as Captain English, with Lou Merrill as the Reverend Mr. Walks. Featured in the cast were Lou Krugman, Michael Ann Barrett, Wilms Herbert, and Bruce Payne. The special music for Escape was composed and conducted by Ivan Ditmars.
Next week, escape with us to the Old West and the unusual story of a man who was a merciless professional killer, but who fought on the side of law, as Ernest Haycox tells it in his exciting story, Wild Jack Rett.
Stay tuned now for Make Believe Town, which follows immediately on most of these same CBS stations. This is Roy Rowan speaking. This is CBS, where you spend an hour with Frank Sinatra every Sunday afternoon on the Columbia Broadcasting System.
You, finding life rather dull, dreaming again of exotic places, wishing you were somewhere else? We offer you Escape.
Escape with us now to the Old West and the unusual story of a merciless professional killer, as Ernest Haycox tells it in Wild Jack Rett.
Red Mesa. A little town springing out of the hot, dry prairie beside the Chisholm Trail. A saloon, a hotel, 2 general stores, and a tiny church where the decent citizenry might pray for salvation while a wilder element, trail driver and teamster and buffalo hunter, restlessly searched out friend and enemy along the dusty main street. A small hill rose on the western edge of Red Mesa, plagued with a rash of graves, some marked and cared for, others sinking and forgotten.
Man that is born of woman hath but a short time to live, and is full of misery. He cometh up and is cut down like a flower. He flieth as it were a shadow. While we're praying, a couple of you boys start throwing some dirt on the sheriff. O Lord, with whom do live the spirits of them that be dead, and in whom the souls of men...
And that same evening, a committee of the leading citizens of Red Mesa gathered together at Mayor Wayne's home to decide upon a new sheriff.
All right, gentlemen, sit down and let's get this settled. Gentlemen, to make this town a decent place for our women folk and children, we've got to have a Sheriff Todd Mallon and his kind can't kill. We need the toughest gunfighter available. And I want to propose...
Just a minute, Mayor Wayne. Let me speak.
All right. Go ahead, Boylan.
I don't think we should get all upset just because we lost another sheriff. Jim Speed worked out fine for Red Mesa. All we need is another sheriff just about like him.
I expected that, Boylan. All you look out for is to keep that saloon of yours full of anybody who'll buy whiskey and gamble. I still propose we reform this town by sending for a man some of you may have heard of. Jack Rett.
Gentlemen, I do want my saloon full. And full of the only men who'll bring any money at all into Red Mesa. Cowpunchers coming up the Chisholm Trail with Texas cattle. Thirsty men on the prod from a long drive. But you give them Jack Rett,
Instead of a little fun, and this town will go broke.
We'll chance that, Bohelen. We'll chance that.
What about Matt Travener? What's he got to say?
I have nothing to say, gentlemen. As U.S. Deputy Marshal for the district, my job is strictly outside Red Mesa. You run your town any way you like. I'll handle the surrounding territory.
Know anything about Jack Rett, Travener?
Just by reputation. Professional town tamer. And I've heard he's the most cold-blooded killer ever drew a gun.
Travener's right. We can't afford a man like that here.
Let's put it to a vote, gentlemen. All in favor of sending for Jack Rett, raise their right hand. 5-1. The matter is settled, gentlemen. Good night.
Yeah, good night.
Highway.
You'll wait and see Mary, Travener?
If you don't mind, Mayor.
Of course. Sit down. She'll be out in a minute. Well, Bohelen is pretty mad. But after Jack Rett is here for a while, at least there'll be less gunfighting.
Be less anyway if Todd Mellon were out of the way. He sets a bad example. He's a hard man to catch.
Well, you've done all you can, Travener. There's just too much territory around here for Mellon and his gang to lose themselves in. He'll have to be taken by a town officer, and I think Rett is the man to do it, if Mellon comes to town again.
He'll come, Mayor. If the word gets out that Rett is sheriff here, Mellon will have to face him or lose his reputation with his own men.
Good evening, Father. Hello, Matt.
Good evening.
Hello, darling.
Well, Matt Travener, aren't you going to kiss me?
Of course, sure. Here.
Mary. What a shameless wench you are.
Oh, Father, you're old-fashioned. After all, we're engaged.
Your mother, God rest her soul, didn't behave like that when we were engaged.
The war changed things, Father.
I know, but not for the better. Well, I'm off to bed. Don't stay up too late now. Good night.
Good night, Father. You look worried, Matt.
Do I?
Tell me about it.
Well, it's just that they're sending for a new sheriff. A legal killer named Rett. He has quite a reputation, and there'll always be men to challenge it.
That means more gunfighting. Is that it?
I'm afraid so. It's a bloody way to peace, Mary.
I know. Let's not worry about it now. Come on. I'll pick some coffee for us.
3 weeks later, Wild Jack Rett rode into Red Mesa. He was 38 and at the peak of his reputation. He stood well over 6 feet, better than 200 pounds of plain sinew. Tawny blonde hair grew long in the frontier style, and his features, fair and tinted like a girl's, were boldly aquiline. He was a picturesque man, till one looked at his eyes, which were large and pale blue, and had the disconcerting trick of remaining too steadily on people. There was to be seen in them the suggestion of inhumanity. He sent word to the committee that he'd meet him at the mayor's office that evening.
It's 8 o'clock now. Where is he?
He's in town, and that's bad enough.
Dear sport, Bohelen. We took a fair vote on Rett.
Here he comes now.
My name is Jack Rett. I have your offer.
I'm Peter Wayne, mayor of Red Mesa. Do you accept it?
Depends on what you want. Tell me.
Well, Rett, this is a difficult town. The Chisholm Trail lies just across the river, and we get most of our money from the riders passing through with Texas cattle. Now, we want them to have a decent time for their money, but we don't like a lot of gunplay and killing.
I've always been accustomed to complete authority, Mayor. I presume to know my job, and I won't have interference.
That's agreed, Rett. By the way, the last sheriff had a rule that riders leave their hardware at his office. He had trouble enforcing it.
A poor rule. Let them pack their guns.
Well, that gives the wild ones a fair chance at you.
I never give a man a fair chance at me. Is that all, gentlemen?
Bohelen's saloon was the usual deadfall, with a huge bar along one side of the room and gaming tables toward the rear. Next morning, Bohelen stood tapping the mahogany of the bar with his fingertips, staring thoughtfully at nothing.
Good morning, Bo Helen.
It's noon, Samus.
Huh? Oh, sure. Draw me a beer, Mike. Yeah. Where's the new sheriff, Bo Helen?
Over there at the corner table. Came in just before you did.
Huh?
Barkeep, bring me a cigar, a glass of rye.
Yeah. Now he's going to clean and reload his 6 guns, one at a time.
By golly, he is. How'd you know?
It's an old gunman's trick to impress the citizens.
But there's no one here except you and me.
And it's to impress me.
Don't. Goodbye, Bo Helen. Mike.
You've got something to say to me, Bo Helen?
Yes, I have. You're smart, Red. I recognize that. But your record for killing is too severe, and my business depends on an open town. Now, the reform element got you, and I'll go along for now. But just remember one thing. I can break you, Rett, any time.
I was waiting for that, Bo Helen.
Well, then I guess we understand each other.
Hello?
Oh, any luck, Matt?
Just a morning's ride.
Matt, here's Jack Rett. Rett, this is Mac Travener, U.S. Deputy Marshal for the district.
Glad to know you, Rett.
You're young.
Don't be misled. Rett, your job is in town. Mine is everything outside. So I'll either back you up here in Red Mesa or leave you strictly alone.
I'll handle Red Mesa.
All right. One more thing. I want Todd Mallon. If he comes to town again, he'll have to be taken. Will you do that or shall I?
What is he?
Outlaw. His main line is plain robbery. Now I want him for killing Jim Speed.
Let me handle Mallon.
Why?
Killing's my trade. Man doesn't live with enough animal instinct to get me.
Maybe. Killing you would build a man's reputation considerable.
Just so?
Well, good luck, Rett.
There was peace for a full week in Red Mesa. And then on Saturday night, Matt Travener's prediction came true. Jack Rett was at his customary post just opposite Bo Helen's saloon, in a chair on the porch of the Chinook Hotel, obscured by the shadows and watching the crowd, his cold, pale eyes half concealed by cigar smoke. Trouble found him thus.
Evening, Sheriff.
Good evening, ma'am.
Keeping an eye on the boys, huh?
Where's this Rett that used to be an Abilene? Where's he hiding? Where's that great man, Wild Jack Rett? Bring him out!
Hello, cowboy.
That's a lot of killing for one, Sheriff. 3 men. I don't like it.
Forget it, friend. Have a drink and forget it.
You're Bo Helen, ain't you?
That's right. Come on now, have one in the house. Now, Mike, fix him up.
I can pay for my liquor. You never gave him a chance. What kind of sheriff you got stands in a shadow and kills 1 man, and then jumps 50 feet from his gun flash and shoots down 2 more? Those boys never had a chance at him.
Drink your drink, cowboy.
That was the most merciless killing I ever seen. He's a butcher. I wish I'd gunned him. Up!
This is my game. They were fools to play it. Never buck a man who's spent his life learning to kill, son. Get out of town. Get out now.
Red? What if I
Don't try it, son. Don't let your anger destroy you. Drift. Go on. Drift.
Blast your town. I can hold my thirst another 200 miles up the trail. Come on, boys. We'll send word back to Texas to go around Red Mesa and let it dry our powder.
Yeah, sure.
It won't do, Rett.
It'll do, Boellen. Barkeep, bring me a glass of rye. On the house.
Rett stood with his back to the bar, holding his drink and a thin black cigar carefully in one hand. He stood there for about 10 minutes. Then trouble came again.
Todd Mellon, he's riding in with 4 men.
Close the gates. Open up the back doors.
Well, Jack Rett, now let's see you shoot down Todd Mellon and 4 men from the shadows.
Good night, Boellen.
Escape, under the direction of Norman MacDonald, returns in just a moment. Sorry, but if you think school teachers have it easy, you've got another think coming. Just ask our Miss Brooks, as played by Eve Arden, on most of these same CBS stations this evening. And now, back to Escape.
When word came to Bohellen's saloon that Todd Mellon was riding into Red Mesa with 4 men, Jack Rett simply walked out, crossed the street to his office, sat down and waited. 20 minutes later, Todd Mellon had arrived and departed. Not a shot fired. Then Jack Rett went quietly to bed. But early Sunday morning, he was back in his office.
Come in.
Morning, Rett.
Well, Traveler?
There's talk, Rett.
I expect that.
Now, Rett, you told me you'd handle Mellon if he came to town.
Yes, Traveler.
Well, they say Mellon rode into town last night with 4 men. Rode right up to this office, got down, came inside. That you and he stood here with this desk between you talking. And that a few minutes later, Mellon left and rode out of town.
I play the game my own way, Traveler. And I don't want interference from anybody.
People are saying maybe you and Mellon made a deal of some kind.
Well, now, somebody's breaking the Sabbath. Know who it could be, Traveler?
No, I don't.
That's a rifle. Sounds like one of those 7-shot Spencers.
And it's old Hack Crow.
Who's he?
An old trapper. Comes to town every few months, sells his furs, gets drunk, goes a little crazy. Jim Speed always laid him away in jail to sober.
Yeah, I'll take a look.
You better stop him, Rett.
He's only got 2 shots left. That'll satisfy him. I doubt if he'll reload.
And if he notices us and decides to shoot?
Then I'll have to kill him. Hey, who's that coming out of Bohellen's?
Ewald Bay, gambler.
He's a fool.
Now he's getting his horse. You gonna stop him, Rett?
No. Let him go.
Rett, the town is your territory, and I won't interfere. But why did you refuse a fair shot at Hack Crow? Ewald Bay is dead.
Which is the more useful citizen, Traveler? Crow or Bay? The West is full of gamblers.
There was considerable talk that day in Red Mesa over Jack Rett's aloof and cruel calm in condoning a shooting that had occurred under his very eyes and within reach of his formidable guns. Then, mid-afternoon, a rider came up from the prairie and reported finding old Hack Crow dead in a coulee, dry gulched and robbed. Mayor Wayne heard about it and went to Bohellen's saloon to hear more.
Good evening, Mayor.
Hello, Bohellen. Got a brandy.
And what do you think of your great Jack Rett now, Mayor?
It looks bad.
Now, look, Mayor. Everyone knew Hack Crow carried his profits in his pocket. Always did that. So Rett allowed him to leave, and Todd Mellon and his men were waiting for him in the coulee. It's as simple as that.
We have no proof of that, Bohellen.
No? And why didn't Rett take Mellon when he rode in here last night? Because they made a business arrangement, that's why.
Well, it doesn't look good, but... Shh. There's Rett now.
Barkeep.
Glass of rye.
I don't want to talk to him yet. I'm leaving. Good night, Bohelen.
Good night, man. Mike, give me that rye. I'll take it over to the sheriff myself. Here's your drink, Sheriff. Mind if I sit down?
The game never changes, Bohelen. I know what you're going to say.
I warned you I could break you, Rett.
It's an old story to me. Every town's got one insider who plays along with the outlaws. And I knew you to be that one here when I first saw you. Running a saloon, you'd know when a cattle buyer was riding out of town carrying a specie, when the overland stage was loaded with gold. There was a quarrel over the split of profits between you and Mallet, and you fell apart. That's always the way.
Very shrewd, Rett.
It's an old story, Bohelen. I know it by heart.
Very shrewd. But you can't play the same game.
All sheriffs are supposed to be crooked.
You and Malin had an agreeable little chat last night. Did he make you a good offer, Rett?
Maybe I should accept his offer, Bohelen, just to keep you two split. Maybe I should do that.
Rett, I've seen sheriffs come and go. It's a chancy trade.
Sheriffs die. They all die. It's only a question of time.
You're a hard one, Jack Rett.
You might make your peace with Malin. It'd have to be that way, otherwise you'll have little chance of getting rid of me, Bohelen.
It may be that way.
I wouldn't be surprised. I always expect the worst of men, and am seldom disappointed.
It was turning dark as Jack Rett left Bohelen's saloon. Crossing the street, he walked into his office, but continued on out through the back door. A few minutes later, he stood in the gathering shadows opposite the OK stable and watched Bohelen ride out and drift into the prairie to the south. He knew now what to expect. It would happen soon, perhaps tomorrow. He returned to his office and slept the night there.
Come in. Well.
Morning. Rett, I want you to meet Mary Wayne.
Miss Wayne, very proud.
I wanted to know you.
To meet him, Mary, not to know him. Rett lives in a closed world.
See that? I have no friends.
We're to be married on Thursday, Mr. Rett. I should like you to be there.
I'd be most happy. Thank you.
Now, Mary, would you wait outside? I've got some business to discuss with the sheriff.
Of course, Matt. But don't be long. Goodbye, Mr. Rett.
Bye, Miss Wayne.
Rett, this afternoon I'm leaving to find Todd Mallet. You had your chance, but you let him go.
Wait, Traveler. Wait.
I've tried patience, Rett, and I'm a poor hand at it.
Traveler, you have a fine girl. If it's not presuming, let me congratulate you and compliment her.
Thank you. Was that all?
I'll take care of Malin. Give me a little time. It's my job.
Rett, I want to believe you.
No man wearing a star should believe anybody. It's a weakness. Haven't I told you?
Blessed if I quite understand you, Rett.
And understand this. Every man has his time. When it comes, he knows it. There's no turning back. Nothing makes any difference then except to stand up to the finish and go out in decent style.
And yet you're the man never believes in giving another man a break.
Don't try to understand me.
You want help with Malin?
I have no faith in help.
Coming, Mary.
Wait, Traveler. I'll suggest this much. Take one man. Ride due north to where the cattle trail crosses Tempest Creek. Be there tonight. Understand?
Rett, I'd hate to oppose you.
If you did, you'd lose. I've been 15 years at this, Traveler, which is 5 years beyond average luck.
That evening, Jack Rett took up his post on the porch of the Chinook Hotel, dressed in his best, a hard white shirt, a blood-red Windsor tie, and a suit of black broadcloth swelling around the big, uncompromising shoulders. He sat there calm behind the smoke of his cigar, waiting.
Full moon tonight, Sheriff.
That's right.
No offense, mind you.
Good evening, Rett.
Hello, Mayor Wayne. Mayor, have you seen Traveler?
He rode north this afternoon. He'll be back tomorrow, he said.
Good.
Where's the sheriff?
Here I am.
But listen, I just come up South Creek, and Todd Mallon and 6 men were only a quarter mile behind me, heading into town.
All right, friend. Take cover.
Yeah, sure.
Rett stood up and moved into the shadow at the end of the hotel porch. Across the street, Bohelen appeared in the full glow of the doorway of his saloon.
Come out in the dark and meet your prince, Jack Rett. What are you afraid of? It's only Mallon riding in to see you.
Thieves fall out, but the urge for profits brings them together again.
You should have known it, Rett.
Nothing surprises me.
Well, there you are, Rett. Surprised to find you exposing your great reputation out there in the middle of the street.
Every man has his time. You want to try it, Bohelen? Or will you wait for help?
I'll wait.
The arriving horses came up into the moonlit street and halted at the corner of the saloon. Bohelen's hand lifted toward the group, and at that order the horsemen spread out until they were flank to flank all across the street. Todd Mallon advanced from the line and stopped, square and alert above the saddle. Jack Rett stood alone in the middle of the street, his eyes flashing a hard fury. Then he dropped his cigar and ground it beneath the boot. It was a final gesture.
How are you, Mallon? Goodbye, gentlemen.
Next day, Red Mesa buried some more men out on the hill and talked of Jack Rett, who was more of a mystery to them now than when living. To all of them but one, Matt Travner.
Nobody knows a killer's world, Mary. Wasn't any room in Jack Rett for much pity. But he sent me away to save me from what he knew was coming. I think that was a kindness, although I had no fear.
It was a fine thing for him to do, Matt. But they say he stood in the middle of the street to face them all in the moonlight. Why? It wasn't his style.
As long as he was sure of himself and never gave anybody an even chance, Mary. But killers live and die by instinct. And somewhere along the evening, he got the warning. After that, it was just a matter of pride. He killed Mallon and Bohelen before he died, standing up and in good style. And that's sort of a greatness, isn't it?
Under the direction of Norman MacDonald, Escape has brought you Wild Jack Rett by Ernest Haycox, especially adapted for radio by John Meston. Jack Rett was played by John Daner, with Larry Dobkin as Matt and Lou Krugman as Bohelen. Parley Bear was the narrator. Featured in the cast were Junius Matthews, Russell Simpson, Gene Bates, Paul Dubov, and Sam Edwards. The special music for Escape was composed and conducted by Ivan Ditmars.
Next week, we escape with the story of two small boys who discover the most fabulous Christmas ever dreamed of, as Anthony Ellis tells it in his delightful tale, The Cave.
Stay tuned now for Make Believe Town, which follows immediately on most of these same CBS stations. Roy Rowan speaking for CBS, the Columbia Broadcasting System.
Wheat Chex, Rice Chex, and Good Hot Ralston present Space Patrol! High adventure in the wild, vast reaches of space. Missions of daring in the name of interplanetary justice. Travel into the future with Buzz Corey, Commander-in-Chief of the Space Patrol. In today's transcribed adventure, Buzz and Happy are on the third moon of Jupiter in their spacesuits, attempting to pull Major Robertson out of a crevice into which he has fallen. Buzz has lowered Happy into the crevice where thousands of beetle-like insects are swarming. Beetles that seem impervious to the cold and lack of atmosphere.
Just a couple more feet, sir. That's it, sir. Loop the rope under the Major's arms, Happy. Just a minute, sir. When I brush off some of these insects. Gee, some of them just won't brush off, sir. They're awful. There are mice, too. They're all over the Major's. Hey, Commander, they're eating through our spacesuits. You've got to get the Major out of there and get back to the ship. If these insects puncture our suits, we're finished.
We'll be back in just a moment with today's Space Patrol story, The Moon Beetles. The hour has struck. Yes, today is the last time we can offer you a pair of those wonderful new space binoculars that you can see way off in the distance with. Big 4-power plastic space binoculars. 5 inches wide, 5 inches long. Plenty big and plenty of fun. Gang, you can watch people blocks away, study birds in real tall trees, read signs way off in the distance, spot planes high in the sky, and listen, you wear space binoculars on your head. Yes, sir, a strong elastic band holds them snugly to your eyes, makes you look like a strange man from Mars, leaves your hands absolutely free. Yes, the hour has struck. Today is the last time we can offer you these terrific new Space Patrol space binoculars. To get a pair exactly like Buzz Corey wears, do this. Buy a box of Instant Ralston. Then, with your name and address, send 25 cents in coin and an Instant Ralston box top to Space Patrol, Box 686, St. Louis, Missouri. This offer good only in the USA and may be withdrawn at any time. That's Space Patrol, Box 686, St. Louis, Missouri. And now, today's Space Patrol story, The Moon Beetles. In their space battle cruiser, Terra 5, Buzz and Happy are approaching Jupiter's number 2 moon to investigate the mysterious failure of equipment in one of the automatic instrument stations. Their viewscope is trained on a surface of a cold, barren, airless satellite as Happy watches for the dome-shaped image of the atmosphere shell to reveal they're nearing the unmanned instrument station.
Jupiter's number 2 moon sure is a desolate place. Nothing but craters and mountains, and more craters and mountains. And they all look the same. I don't even recognize any landmarks.
Well, we should have brought Robbie along. He knows most of Jupiter's satellites the way you and I know the Earth's moon.
Oh, speaking of Major Robertson, sir, I was a little surprised to find out he was meeting us on Jupiter.
Oh?
Well, I figured he'd be getting ready for the big day on Terra on the 3rd of the month. You know, the Interplanetary Medal Award ceremony.
I hope we can all be there. We will if we don't run into serious trouble on this instrument failure investigation.
But, sir, doesn't the Major have to be there to receive the award?
Well, I was under the impression that the name of the person to receive the Interplanetary Medal was kept secret until the day of the ceremony. What makes you think Robbie's going to get it?
Well, I heard rumors.
Well, personally, I'd like to see Major Robertson get it, too. The final decision is up to the award committee. They aren't going to let the news out ahead of time. We're getting close to the instrument station, Happy. See those 2 cone-shaped peaks at the edge of that broad, shallow crater?
Yes, sir.
The instrument station is right between those peaks. That's funny.
What's that, Commander?
The small atmosphere shell should be visible now.
Maybe the sunlight's hitting it at the wrong angle.
It should still show up in the viewscope. Happy, the shell's gone.
Huh?
Switch the spacephone receiver to the ultra-high frequency automatic instrument channel and see if any signals are getting out.
Yes, sir. Well, this is the right channel, sir.
Some of the instruments are still sending, but I can't understand what happened to that atmosphere dome.
Maybe a meteor hit it.
If it came in at a tangent, it might break the shell without damaging all the instruments. Get our spacesuits, Happy, while I set the ship down. We'll make an on-the-spot check.
There are the instruments, sir. They don't seem to be damaged. Dome's foundations intact. So are the double hatches to the airlock. The metal framework and the gates are still standing. Happy, I'm afraid your meteor theory is out. But if it came in almost parallel to the surface of the moon and hit the shell... There would still be fragments of the plastic shells scattered all over the area. Take a look. The ground all around is perfectly clean. Wow, the shell must have been completely disintegrated. That would put most of the instruments out of commission, even those that were picking up cosmic radiations from the receptors outside the shell. It's very strange, Happy. Cut off the atmosphere plant. Get back to the ship and blast off. Yes, sir. I'll space phone Robbie and ask him to meet us to Chargon instead of Jupiter City. Isn't that just south of Jupiter City? Yes, it's a technological center. It's where Dr. William Conrad receives and analyzes the data transmitted from these instrument stations on the different moons. I wonder how he'll analyze the fact that a whole atmosphere...
Are you saying there weren't even any fragments of the atmosphere, sir? That's right, Robbie. The whole thing just disappeared.
And none of the instruments were physically damaged?
No, Doctor. Some of them stopped transmitting because of the cold.
It really got us puzzled, Dr. Conrad. What do you think could have happened? Well, Happy, I won't even speculate until a thorough investigation is made.
Well, at the moment, Doctor, I feel this is a job for the security section. Robbie, get a lab ship and blast off for moon number 2. Yes, sir.
Do you want me to go with the Major, Commander?
You'll be needed here in Chargon, Doctor. You've got to evaluate the data from the other moon centers. I'll keep in contact with you from number 2 moon and give you any information I can gather. Good. Robbie, I'll leave the investigation in your hands. Happy and I'll go to our temporary quarters and get some rest.
I can use a little sleep.
I'll call you first thing in the morning, Dr. Conrad. Come on, Happy.
Sleep is the next
Happy. Happy, wake up.
Oh, Commander, what time is it?
6:05 hours Universal Star Time. Are you going to sleep all day?
Oh, don't be stupid, huh? I plan to be awake before you, sir. Say, are you sure it's 6:05?
Look at your watch.
Yeah, but it's still dark outside. That's why I left the shade up, figuring the sun would wake me up.
Yes, I noticed how dark it was. Maybe we're having an eclipse of the sun. They're fairly frequent on Jupiter with 12 moons in the sky.
I'm sure I should have thought of that. Have you talked to Dr. Conrad?
I phoned his lab, but wasn't able to reach him.
Maybe he overslept, too. From the sound of things outside, it sounds like the middle of the day. Come here and look, sir. The streets are full of people. These Chargon citizens must be early risers, or else they got up to see the eclipse.
The eclipse here wouldn't cause that much excitement.
What do you know? The lights are on, all over the city.
That must be Dr. Conrad. I told the charge at quarters to put the call in here. Corey speaking.
Commander, this is Dr. Conrad.
Oh, yes, Doctor. I've already called your lab.
I'm not at the laboratory. I'm at the spaceport. Can you come over?
Is something wrong?
Haven't you noticed the darkness?
Yes. The 4 biggest moons must be eclipsing the sun all at once.
This is no eclipse, Commander. The Chargon atmosphere shell is completely covered with insects.
Insects?
Yes, I know it sounds crazy, but it's true. They're blanketing the entire dome. Billions of them. Space Control isn't letting any ship in or out of the space locks. They're afraid the insects will swarm into the city.
Doctor, where are you now?
I'm in the Spaceport Master's office.
I'll be right over.
I'm ready, Commander.
Then let's go. Now, here's the office, Doctor.
Commander, I expected you sooner. I was beginning to get worried.
We're tied up in traffic, Doctor. People are running around almost in a panic.
Well, I can't say I blame them. It's not exactly reassuring to know you're under a roof of billions of living insects.
I didn't think Jupiter had that many insects. Where do they all come from?
We don't know. One spaceship came through the lodge just at dawn. The pilot said the insects are like a shiny black sea all around the atmosphere dome. I've got a few specimens here, Commander, in these 2 small plastic boxes.
Let's have a look at them.
Hundreds of insects were drawn through the space lock when the ship entered. That's why Space Control closed the port. Look, and Rockets, look at the size of them. They must be about 2 inches long.
They seem to be some sort of beetle. I don't recognize them.
Well, I showed them to a friend of mine in the communication section, an amateur entomologist. He says he's never seen anything like them before on any planet.
Very strange. Entirely new variety of insects appearing by the billions, and here on Jupiter, of all places.
Hey, one of the bugs got loose. He's crawling across the desk.
You take the lid off the box, Captain?
No, sir. Look, the lid is still on it. Then how did it get out? Hey, listen, what's that?
Warning signal. Yellow alert.
Yellow alert. Something must be wrong with the city's atmosphere plant.
Happy, quickly. Close all the windows airtight. Doctor, cut on the emergency air vents.
What could be the matter?
That signal means the air outside this building isn't fit to breathe. Check the Polaroid windows.
All the windows are closed tight, sir.
Airtight. Good.
Emergency air vent on, Commander. We're all right for the time being.
Yes, Doctor, but those people out in the streets, if they don't get inside a building with emergency air supply, they're in trouble. I'll get it. Quartermaster's office. He isn't here. This is Commander Corey of the Space Patrol. I see. Yes, Captain, your procedure's correct. Right, Corey out. That was the Atmosphere Control Center. The yellow alert was sounded because the detectives registered a high methane gas content in the air.
Methane? You mean there's a leak in the atmosphere shell?
More than a leak, a serious break.
What happened?
Look at this plastic box, Doctor.
There is a hole in it.
Exactly. That beetle ate through the plastic box. And above us, there are billions of insects eating their way through the plastic atmosphere shell.
We'll be back with Space Patrol in just a moment. Presenting the mystery of the battling basketball player. Sometimes this 10-year-old boy would be a sharpshooter. He'd make basket after basket after basket. But then, at other times, ouch, he'd miss shot after shot. And so it went. Sometimes a shooting star, sometimes a falling star. Here was the trouble. This boy was only getting supercharged now and then. On some mornings, he'd have a power breakfast with rice checks or wheat checks, the super cereals that help to supercharge you. That's when he'd really shoot those baskets. But then, at other times, well, he'd just eat any old breakfast. And that's when they'd call him Fumbler. So, gang, remember, to be a winner every day, you have to get supercharged every day. In other words, enjoy that rice checks and wheat checks in your cupboard all the time, not just some of the time. Make it a rule to do what Buzz Corey does. Eat a power breakfast with rice checks or wheat checks every single day. The bite-sized super cereals that help to supercharge you. Delicious checks. And now back to our Space Patrol story, The Moon Beetles. The city of Shargan on the planet Jupiter is perilled by a vast swarm of strange insects that completely cover the atmosphere shell. These beetle-like insects are gnawing through the thick plastic of the transparent dome over the city, and now the air is contaminated with the harmful gases that compose Jupiter's atmosphere. Buzz, Happy, and Dr. William Conrad have rushed to the atmosphere washing plant, while Major Robertson, at the commander's order, is at the spaceport, ready to lead an exterminator's squadron. Happy and the doctor are standing before the giant motors that force the atmosphere through chemical filters and purifiers, waiting for Buzz to return from the office of the chief air control engineer.
Oh, the engineers just cut on another auxiliary motor. That's the last one. The plant's working at full capacity.
Yeah, but so are those bugs. Oh, here's the commander.
Commander, what did the chief engineer say?
Oh, it's a losing battle. You just can't build up enough pressure inside the shell to equal the heavy Jupiter atmosphere pressure on the outside. Unless those insects are stopped, pretty soon big chunks of the dome will fall in on the city. They could plunge right through the roof.
Well, do you think that DB12X insecticide will kill the bugs, Commander?
I don't know. And if I give Robbie the order to take the exterminator squadron outside the shell, that insecticide will contaminate the entire city.
You mean it's harmful to human beings?
Definitely.
But don't you think it's worth the risk, Commander? If the dome collapses...
Oh, you're right, Doctor. There's no time to waste. We'll broadcast a warning for everyone to keep off the streets and to seal their doors and windows. Then we'll go back to Space Patrol headquarters, and I'll tell Robbie to take the squadron up.
Commander, the streets have been completely cleared, and the Major and the squadron have been spraying the outside of the dome for 20 minutes. The DB12X ought to be showing some results.
If it's going to work. I'll contact Robbie. Commander Corey at Shargan Space Patrol headquarters, calling Major Robertson aboard Space Patrol cruiser J571. Corey to Major Robertson.
Robertson.
Robertson here. Go ahead, Commander.
Is it working, Robbie?
All 8 ships have made 10 passes with the insecticide, Commander. Insects are saturated with the stuff. It doesn't seem to phase them.
You've got to find something that's effective and find it quickly.
Well, heat might do it. You get enough ships with atomic flame ejectors and play them over the dome.
There aren't any on Jupiter. What about trying ultrasonic vibrations?
That's it. That'll do it, Commander.
Dr. Conrad, do you know of a lab ship here in Chargon that's got an ultrasonic generator in it?
No, yes, Commander. There is one at the spaceport.
Good. Robbie, order the squadron to return to base, but you stay aloft. Happy, Dr. Conrad and I will get the lab ship and blast off immediately. Lab ship secured for blast-off, Commander. All right, Hap, I'll notify Space Control. Commander Corey and Lab Ship X-211 in Area 28, calling Space Control Chargon.
Space Control Chargon, go ahead.
We're ready for blast-off.
You may blast off at will, sir. Space Control out.
Stand by to fire rockets, Happy. Standing by, sir. Ready, Doctor?
Yes, Commander.
Fire rockets. Here come the locks, sir. Reduce power and we'll circle back to the dome.
What a sight. The dome is black with those insects.
I hope this ultrasonic generator does the trick. I'd hate the idea of going back down through that roof of beetles. Dr. Conrad, will you operate the generator?
Of course, Commander.
That must be the major ship off on our starboard viewport. Right. Corey aboard lab ship X-211 calling Major Robertson.
Robertson here. Go ahead, sir.
We're going to make a head-on pass at the dome, Robbie.
Good hunting.
All right, Doctor. Turn on the generator.
I've set it at 1 million cycles, Commander. That frequency should be fatal to most insects.
Give it plenty of power.
Yes, Commander.
Here we go, right over the dome. Happy, set the viewscope to high magnification.
Yes, sir.
We'll circle back and make another pass.
How's the viewscope setting, sir?
Fine. You can see the insects quite clearly.
They don't seem to be affected by the vibration. Shall I increase the frequency?
Oh, wait. Look, they're dropping off the dome.
Hey, they sure are. Sliding off by the thousands.
It's working, Commander. The sides of the dome are nearly clear.
Would you look at that? They're sliding off like a black avalanche.
We'll make a couple more passes just to make sure we've got them all. Look at how they're heaping up around the base of the atmosphere shield. It's going to be some job clearing them away. The first problem is to get a crew to work sealing up those holes in the dome.
Commander, this is Robbie.
Yes, Robbie?
More trouble. I just got word that there's a plague of those beetles on moon number 3. They've attacked the small atmosphere shell over the research station. That could disrupt the entire interplanetary communications system, to say nothing of ruining all space flight aid stations.
Hey, we'd better get out there with the ultrasonic generator. It wouldn't work on that moon, Happy. There's no atmosphere to transmit the high-frequency sound of the insects. They've got to be brought under control. Smoking rockets.
Well, there are 100 men on that station. They can't even be evacuated because they can't open the space locks.
What's wrong with the power unit?
Communications picked up automatic signals that indicate a relay didn't work. Somebody could get there, get inside the power unit shell, and flip that switch. The research station would have power restored.
But how about the insects? Doctor, the new Delta ray, would that destroy the insects?
Yes, but it has to be focused so that the rays wouldn't penetrate the shell, or it would destroy the men inside, too.
Is there a Delta ray here in Chargon?
No, the nearest one is in Jupiter City.
Robbie, you blast off for moon number 3 and get that power on. Happy and I'll go to Jupiter City for the Delta ray and join you on the moon's research station. There's the research station, Happy. We'll cut our speed and circle. I'll get the Delta ray ready. Now, don't turn it on till I give you the word. Got to be sure of our focusing range. Yes, sir. Wow, look at that dome. Just like the one at Chargon. Covered with beetles. Well, there's Robbie's ship near the dome. One of the majors got the power on yet. I don't think so. We'd be hearing from him. Just look at those insects all around the station. At least they aren't attacking the power unit, though.
Major Robertson calling Commander Corey aboard Terra 5. Major Robertson calling Commander Corey.
Corey here. Where are you, Robbie?
In a pretty tight spot, Commander. You get the Delta ray?
What's the trouble?
I was in my spacesuit walking toward the power unit shell when these confounded beetles attacked me. Rolled all over me. When I beat them off, I fell into a crevice near the power shell and I'm wedged in.
We'll land and pull you out.
I don't want to rush you, but these insects are eating my spacesuit. I managed to brush them off some plastic face pieces, but they're all over me. Any lieutenant now. They're going to puncture the suit.
We'll set the ship down right away. Happy, get out our spacesuits and some rope.
There he is, Commander. He's really wedged in. Look at those beetles. There are hundreds of them down in the crevice and all over him. Robbie, can you read me? Yes, sir. They're going to drop you a rope. Grab it. Now, go ahead, Hap. Catch, Major. All right, hang on. We'll pull you up. Hey, it slipped out of his hand. Robbie, can't you hang on? I haven't got any strength. Are you hurt? It's my leg. I'm beginning to feel pain. Losing air. But this is no time to pass out. That suit's punctured. You're finished. Robbie. Robbie. Commander, I'd better go down there and tie the rope around him. No, you might get caught, too. I'll go down. Commander, you can pull the Major and me out, but, well, I'm not sure I can pull both of you up. No, Happy, it's too dangerous. Please, sir, let me go. It's the only way to save Major Robertson. And don't forget the men in the station. You may be right. Here, take the rope. I'll lead you down. Yes, sir. Lower away. Now, hang on, Happy. That's it. A couple more feet, sir. Okay. Hold it. I'm looping the rope around the Major's arm. Help me if you can, Major. All right, Happy. You ready, Hap? Just a minute, sir. I'm going to brush off some of these beetles. One of them burrowed in nearly through my suit. Okay. Pull. Now hang on to Robbie. He's wedged in pretty tight. Oh, my leg. He's loose now, Commander. Pull us up. Okay. Commander, your face piece. There are beetles swarming all over it. I can't brush them off now. But they'll leak through the plastic. I can't let go of the rope till you and Robbie are out of there. We're nearly to the top. That does it. Better take the Major, sir. He's in pretty bad shape. All right, Hap. Clean off your face piece. A beetle is half buried in it. They're all over you. Yeah, I know. They're all over you, too, sir. Get to the ship quickly. They'll peel out of these spacesuits in the airlock and then turn the delta ray on the research station shell. I guess we'll have to carry the Major, sir. All right, Happy. Come on. We've got to hurry.
Delta ray is focused, Happy. Give it another charge. Hey, it's working. The beetles are dropping off the shell like flies. Well, this ray works better than the ultrasonic generator. See that, Robbie?
Yeah. Really shriveling them up.
How's your leg?
A little better. Good.
After we wipe out the beetles, we'll land and turn the power unit on. Hey, if we can clean this up and blast off for Terra pretty soon, we'll be able to get the Major back for the Interplanetary Award ceremony.
Funny, I almost forgot.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Go on up, Major. The commander's ready to give you the medal.
Quiet, Happy. The commander's going to speak.
Fellow citizens of the United Planets, it's my privilege and honor, as last year's recipient of the Interplanetary Award, to present this symbol of courage and service to the current winner. It's a special source of pride to me because the award goes to a member of my own space patrol.
Major, the commander's looking this way. He wants you to go up.
The choice this year was a difficult one for the committee, and the person chosen by them has declined the honor.
But, Major, I...
Quiet, Hap. The commander's speaking.
Yes, the selected candidate, Major Robertson, Security Chief of the Space Patrol, feels that the Interplanetary Award should go to the man who risked his own life to save another, and thereby help save the lives of 100 men. So, in a special session, the committee accepted the Major's suggestion, and I shall now present the Interplanetary Award to a member of the Corps of Cadets, Cadet Happy.
Huh? Me? But I...
Go on, Happy. Get up there. Hey, Happy. Hap.
Ladies and gentlemen, I'll have to ask Major Robertson to accept the award for Cadet Happy. It seems the courageous winner of the Interplanetary Award has just fainted.
An exciting preview of next week's thrilling Space Patrol adventure in just a moment. But first, gang, here it is. Here's the only way to get a pair of Space Patrol space binoculars. Now, all you do is... Uh-oh. Here's a radio ray from Terra.
Boys and girls, this is your commander, and I have a message for you that's so important, I've interrupted Vic Tufel. Here's my message. Today is positively the last time we can offer you a pair of official space binoculars. This is the greatest offer we've ever made, and it's one item I feel that every one of you should have. All those thousands and thousands of boys and girls now have their space binoculars. I know for a fact that many of you have still not sent in. So don't wait. This is important and vital. Send in today for your Space Patrol space binoculars. This is absolutely the last time we can make this sensational offer. Hurry up.
Thank you, Commander. And boys and girls, remember this. These are not flimsy goggles. They're real, full-size, full-field, 4-power binoculars made of long-lasting plastic. Real, full-size, full-field, 4-power binoculars that make everything in the distance look bigger, closer, clearer. The revolutionary new binoculars you wear on your head. Thrills and fun galore. You can identify buildings way off in the distance, spot planes, study birds, watch far-off traffic, read distant signs, and do lots and lots of other things with your space binoculars all year long. Now, to get a pair, buy a box of Instant Ralston. Then, with your name and address, send 25 cents in coin and an Instant Ralston box top to Space Patrol, Box 686, St. Louis, Missouri. If you don't agree your binoculars are tops, return them and we'll return your money. That's Space Patrol, Box 686, St. Louis, Missouri. And now, an exciting preview of next week's thrilling Space Patrol adventure. Buzz and Happy have just left Terra 5 to enter a damaged spaceship far out beyond the Pluto orbit. They've entered the wrecked ship in their spacesuits to rescue 2 unconscious men. Around the ship, huge chunks of metal hurtle through space on an unknown orbit.
We'll have to carry them, Happy. You take this one, I'll handle the big fellow. Yes, sir. Hey, Commander, the ships are swerving right into that stream of metal fragments. I thought I set the controls to keep pace with them. Those fragments aren't going in a straight line. They're in a swirling motion like a whirlpool. Hey, Commander, they're battering the ship to pieces. They're breaking us up. We gotta get these men inside quickly. Before the fragments come to the ship, or we're finished, all of us.
Be sure to be with us next Saturday for the exciting story, The Strange Gift of the New Star, when wheat checks, rice checks, and good hot Ralston again bring you Space Patrol! High adventure in the wild, vast reaches of space. Missions of daring in the name of interplanetary justice. Travel into the future with Buzz Corey, Commander-in-Chief of the Space Patrol! Space Patrol, an original Mike Moser production starring Ed Kemmer as Commander Corey and Lynn Osborne as Cadet Happy, was written by Lou Houston and directed by Larry Robertson. Other players were Ken Mayer and Bela Kovacs. Dick Tufel speaking. Now, don't forget to tune in next Saturday and every Saturday when wheat checks, rice checks, and good hot Ralston again present the new exciting Space Patrol! Be sure to see another exciting Space Patrol program on your local ABC TV station. Consult your paper for time and channel. Space Patrol comes to you transcribed from Hollywood. This is ABC Radio Network.